5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the KTPF Community Talk Show, live, online, and interactive on the ktpf.co.uk. My name's Suzanne.
And I'm Steve.
And we're here to bring you all the latest in paranormal and everything. And if you're new to the show, don't forget, will you stop laughing at people in there? If you're new to the show, what we are all about is we're just a small group that decide to come online every week and keep the paranormal friendly, because that's what KTPF is all about. So if you're a group or if you're somebody that's into the paranormal, please give us an email on admin@ktpf.co.uk and come on the show and tell us what you believe, what you don't believe, and any topic you want to speak about. Now, we've got a lot on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Ryan Gooding coming on Skype in about half an hour's time, and he's a medium from down south somewhere, Essex, I think he's from. Your neck of the woods, Andy 707. I see you're with us early. Are you home early from bingo, or are you still there?
Knowing Andy's probably still at bingo.
I don't know. But yeah, Ryan Gooding, he's coming on later on. We're going to find out all about him and his family, because he's from a generation of gypsies and fortune tellers, and he's got something to tell us. And he calls himself the modern medium, whatever that may be. So that will be interesting. And also on the show tonight, I would like to introduce you to a very good friend of ours. You've heard me speak about Zone Unknown and the show that we used to be on, and the fact that we've tried to bring something similar to yourself in the meantime. And we've had Mark Rosney on before in the past, who was also a big guest on that show. But this is the compare, the presenter, whatever you want to call him. His name's Roy Basnett. He's from Liverpool, and he's been everything, and he's into the paranormal. Roy,
absolutely,
welcome.
I've got to correct the Liverpool thing to start off with. Actually from Widnes. We Widnesians get upset if we get,
see,
people from Liverpool.
The only reason why I said
Liverpool,
Liverpool,
like our own identity.
because he was on CityTalk, wasn't you?
That was it. Yep.
So just first of all, tell us a bit about what Zone Unknown was about.
Well, basically, Zone Unknown covered all aspects of a lot of subjects, really. Paranormal was obviously one category that we used to do, but we were also in the conspiracy theory departments doing stuff like that, alternative beliefs, you name it. If it was something out of the box, then it was fair game. It was something that we would cover. And
we were the first group you ever had on, UK Shadow Seekers.
Indeed, yeah. And there was a lot of people. God, there's been some really, really big names that have been on that show over the years.
Yeah. Just name a few.
My favourite was the zombie one.
The zombie. Yeah. Was it Wade Davis, was it?
Some of the names I can't remember. But
remember when he was speaking about the fact about the powder, and he went over there and he was a chemist or something?
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Right. Yeah, I think, wasn't it it was the voodoo.
That's right,
yeah. I remember now, yeah. It was Timothy Good, who, of course, is one of the most respected ufologists that we've had. For me, the best ones that I ever did, there were two in particular, and I recorded 4 hours with them in total.
Wow.
One was Peter Joseph.
Uh-huh.
And Peter Joseph was the guy that created the movie Zeitgeist. He was on it, and it was incredible to listen to him, because a lot of people who listen to this show now will have seen Zeitgeist.
Yeah,
it's an incredible thing, viewed by millions around the world. But he got an awful lot of stick. The haters were unbelievable, especially to get these kind of like militant religious people. He took a lot of flack for that.
Yeah,
it was great to speak to him, and of course the king of conspiracy, if you like, Jordan Maxwell. I spoke to him. He was incredible, and again, he was another one that perhaps maybe the years have taken their toll on him a bit, because he's been battered from pillar to post because of what he believes in.
Yeah.
But this guy, the amazing thing about Jordan Maxwell is he puts things across in terms that ordinary people can understand, because we can get a little bit carried away with this subject and not necessarily put it in layman's terms. But Jordan Maxwell, even Peter Joseph as well, they all put it into language that could be easily understood.
Right. So now you know where his background's from, what he's been doing. So, so we're going to hear more about all of Roy's past and what he's been up to and what
Not
he
all
hasn't
of
been
it.
up
All
to.
of it. There's stuff I like to keep secret.
and what got him into it as well, and the sort of thing he has done, because apparently there's been actor. You've been an actor,
Yeah,
compere and entertainer. So we're going to find out all about that later on, and all about the stuff that he actually deals with. And you are a conspiracy nut, aren't you?
Well, not really. Nut was quite required there, but we'll go down. Yeah, you want to go down that route? Okay,
I would say he's nutty about the subject.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You
When we get onto that subject, a short while, I don't want people to think, it's one of those. There's a conspiracy within everything.
Precisely.
It's easy to think that,
Yeah.
but clearly isn't. And there's some of the ones I'll talk about later on might be against the grain for what some people believe, but I'll back them up with what I've encountered.
Right, okay. Well, before we go any further, I'm going to just say hello to those that are in the chat room. We've got 9 at the moment. If you are listening and you're not part of the chat room, why don't you pop in? Because if you want to ask questions, we will be willing to allow you to, ask. We want you to ask questions. That's what it's all about, So if you have any questions you need to ask, it's not a problem. We will relay them. Obviously, if they're appropriate and not detrimental, because don't forget, whatever happens on the show, the beliefs of the people that come on are their beliefs, and it may not be yours, it may not be ours, but it's theirs, and we've got to really respect that. So don't forget, it's all about respect and cooperation, collaboration, and everything. So please be friendly, because that's what it's all about, keeping the paranormal friendly. So I'm going to say hello to them in the chat room.
Oh, yes.
If I miss any, tell me, Steve. Then we're going to go into the paranormal observations for the week with Steve, and Roy's going to butt in on some of these and see what he tells us about as well. Okay, Roy?
Look forward to it.
Okay, let's see. Let's start from the top. Andy707, yes, he's there.
Can I just put in there?
Yeah.
Andy707 reckons that Roy sounds like a slowed down version of Paul McKenna when he's talking.
1, 2, 3, you're back in the room.
There you go. So, Reiki Debs, good evening to you and Lee, and it was nice to see you at the Derby Mind, Body and Spirit yesterday, which incidentally we had a really good time, didn't we? And we managed to sell out our mystery investigation next week.
Yes, all sold out for next week.
That's right. And Steve also sold one of his little books, didn't you, darling?
Oh, just
little basic guide to ghost hunting. Who else have we got in? We got Ghost Rider 2873. He's down there in Norwich. As I say, Andy's in Essex. Reiki Debs is somewhere over, I think, in Nantwich or somewhere like that. And as I say, Jamie, Ghost Quest. Yes, he's there, and he said, "Hello, Roy."
Hello, Jamie.
So,
was it last week? It was on a couple of weeks back.
It was the week before, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week before last, yeah.
So Jamie's there. He's been on ever since.
Reiki Debs is in Doncaster, she says.
Right. Reiki Debs is in Doncaster. So who else have we got? Is there anybody else that's popped in? I haven't said 10 people, so and so there must be more listening in. So please remember, if you want to pop in. Reiki Debs said he is thinking of the environment, but just having one laptop on. Oh, Lee, I assume. Yeah, but he says hello.
He's listening over his shoulder.
Okay. Yeah, they are all hiding, Debs. I'm sure they are. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoy the show if you are hiding. Yeah.
I'm sure Doc will join us later.
Yeah, Doc Savage over in Minnesota and Anita. So I'm sure they'll pop on somewhere along the line. Aren't you 2 of the 10? Yes, we probably are 2 of the 10, but I still haven't mentioned 8. Anyway, we're going to hand you over to...
come and talk to us.
I'm going to hand you over to Steve, and he's going to tell you about the observations. So,
yes,
Steve.
A couple of these are quite long, especially this first one. Skeptics like James Randi are a necessary evil.
Why would you say that?
Because that's what it says on my screen.
Oh, right. No, wait.
Right. Well, I mean, this is what these people are actually telling us here. Within the community, in the belief in the paranormal, extraordinary human powers, named James Randi, is a divisive one. The amazing Randi, as he was once called, has made his mission to debunk claims of psychics, astrologers, and others. Now, I was led to believe that he put up £1 million for this.
Yeah, that's right, $1 million.
He didn't.
Did he not?
No, he put 1,000 up, and everybody else put the rest up.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. But a lot of these people are saying that basically what he's doing is it's nonsensical because under the conditions that he needs people to do it just can't be done.
Well,
not on a repeated.
Yeah. Let's first of all look at James Randi, and I've interviewed James Randi a couple of times now. To turn around and say he's unnecessarily evil. Right?
No, not unnecessary. Hang on.
Right.
What was it you said?
It says he's a necessary evil.
Necessary.
Oh, he's a necessary evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'm with you now.
He's needed.
No, he's right. Absolutely right. One of the two big things that he went.
Because there are a lot of fakes out there.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing that I was more concerned with, one of the big things with James Randi was a guy called Peter Popoff, who was an evangelical kind of preacher. And the bottom line is he was telling people, like, I'm curing you of cancer and all of this kind of stuff. Yes, you can get up. He was coming out with all of this kind of stuff. But what happened? James Randi went down with a radio scanner. And it turned out that his wife, Popoff's wife, was actually giving information. He had an earpiece in. He was giving information, said, row, whatever it is, row 13. We know that person because they filmed out these little prayer cards beforehand. So they're saying, I pray for my sister or whatever it is. So they've got all the information. They know where this sat, and they proved it. And Popoff went bankrupt off the back of that. So he did that, and he also did the thing about I think it was Uri Geller, when Uri Geller went on to the Johnny Carson show, and of course James Randi provided all the spoons himself instead of because normally Uri Geller would come in with his spoons and bend his spoons, but James Randi brought down a load of stuff. And he said, I'm not feeling it, when he was on the Johnny Carson show. So I am totally with James Randi. I think Randy's a good guy. But what I would also say on this particular subject as well is that Randi can back up what he's saying. In the same, if you're going to say something, you need to back it up. So he can back up what he's saying. But there are some skeptics who just hate for the sake of it.
Yeah.
They can't back up with their own evidence, and no evidence will ever be, suitable for them and stuff like that. And I don't like that because it works from both ways. People who won't have their psychic ability questioned, and also people who won't have their, understanding of anything. That they won't back it up with evidence. If they don't believe in it. So it works both ways.
I mean, it says here. applicants and supporters often claim that conditions and outlines are so stringent a test that it's designed to ensure they fail. Others have expressed concern over the rules governing what Randi and JREF can do with the information gathered during a testing situation, claiming it allows Randi to do whatever he wishes with any data collected. Now, this is obviously written down in the contract beforehand, including publicly humiliating them. Many also bemoan the fact that JREF allegedly doesn't allow attorneys to be involved in the negotiations, which is unfortunate. I think if you're going to do any sort of contract,
you've got to have some legal representation.
Now, I actually had a thought while I was putting this down on here, and with the likes of Andy in there and yourself, maybe just one for the conspiracy fans. Maybe what he's doing isn't to test and fail and whatever and pay £1 million. Maybe it's to find the best psychics he can find for the government.
Yeah,
could be. What do you reckon?
That is a good one. Well, a lot of people, I've come across people who've said that people like Darren Brown are they're actually psychic and they don't want to say anything, but I don't believe that. No, I see. Coming back to the conditions, the criteria to pass the so-called $1 million test and what have you. For me, it'd be pretty straightforward. If you can get somebody in a room and say, right, okay, this person that you don't know who it is, tell us about this person in detail. I don't mean I'm getting the letter J and a first name and a person in the 60s to pass with a chest condition. I don't mean any of that. If they can turn around and say, right, the person that I'm communicating with now is John Jones, died at the age of 68. He lived at number 6 Smith Road. He died of thrombosis or something. If you get that kind of detail, then I'd be impressed. And I can understand. And the fact that no one has ever taken that money is a bit telling, really.
Yeah.
So.
This is it. Yeah. And it's like they've said in there that...
Good evening, Haggis 4.
Pardon?
Haggis 4.
What's Haggis 4?
Hello. It's Christmas, isn't it?
It's John from DPH. Jim from DPH. Sorry, John. Jim. on that theory.
Reiki Deb says that Darren Brown just twists her head.
Yeah. And she said, Andy707 says, have you ever seen the rules to win? It is impossible. You know what I mean? It seems
I've never seen
impossible
the
to do 'em,
criteria, but
you know.
I would imagine it's pretty.
So, but as I say, at the end of the day, some of them are second-hand opinions of what we're reading about.
I mean, the problem with picking stuff up from a psychic point of view is you don't always get specifics. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
You get things that, like if I was talking to you from a psychic point of view, I would get things that lead on to.
Yeah.
And so you go, yeah, I can take that. But it's not because I said it's your Uncle John from number 4.
Yeah.
It's because I've picked up maybe the name and he's telling me he's an uncle, but I'm not necessarily going to get all the rest of it.
I think,
and I think that's what science wants.
Yeah.
It wants bang, 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 bang.
It does.
And unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
No, I've always my kind of view on mediums is that I only believe that something like 0.5% of mediums, there are something like 0.5% of mediums that I think I'm going to set this perhaps maybe something you got to look into.
Yeah.
Then you get into the other 99.5%, which consists of people who they genuinely do believe they're getting the message.
Yeah.
And then the vast majority of them, sorry to say it, it's just horse manure.
Yeah.
I just think there's been this massive explosion, probably since Most Haunted came on the scene. There's been a massive explosion of people, paranormal organisations, and certainly mediums. And you've really got to look on Facebook, medium.
Yeah.
And the thing what I've found, certainly when I was doing a radio show, is that I would get a lot of mediums that would get in touch with me. And they're all like, I want to tell you about my gift. I want to tell you about my gift.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm available to do your radio show. I'm available to do your television show. I'm available, and all of these things. And this glitzy kind of websites that they have, and the way they kind of put them across in shows. And you think to yourself, hang on a sec, this is not you trying to demonstrate a gift. This is, you're a show person.
Yeah.
You want to, you need your ego satisfying. And I think that's what a lot of this is at the moment. And that's where, that's when I start getting my back up a little bit with it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but by the same token, sorry, I'm doing a Lionel Thamp. I'm coming back to the point that I was going to try and make. One of the things that I've often thought about with mediums is that perhaps maybe there is something in it, but it's like communicating with somebody through a glass window, right?
Yeah.
You can't hear them.
No.
You can see them, and it's like doing charades that you're given a symbol, you know, and they say it's a film and all that kind of stuff. And perhaps maybe it's interpretation. That's possibly one way of looking at it. I mean, the thing of what I would say about you know, when people say, is there some kind of intuition? My example that I always use is a wildlife example. That wildebeest, when a wildebeest is born, when its foal is born, within the space of, I think it's a minute, the wildebeest can
up and running,
can sprint.
Yeah.
Now it has to do that, or the lions will have it. Now that's surely some degree of psychic ability.
Yeah.
That you know, because it's just come into the world. It doesn't know anything, but it knows that it's got to run.
Well,
right. So, and I always think that if you to get this kind of psychic ability, if you like, you need to get into the animal kingdom. Like we know with the tsunami, when the tsunami came, a lot of the animals got the hell out of it. You know, because they knew it was coming.
They could feel it,
and perhaps if you were going to go down the Darwin view, that we are evolved animals, then because we have a dependence upon technology and education and stuff like that, that you forget. You know what you're naturally capable of doing. So because you get these stories of like Aboriginal tribes that know when somebody's been injured. They could be miles away, they've fallen down a hole, and they know where these people are, so they can go out and get them. So perhaps maybe if we reverted back a bit, maybe you might make a connection with this ability.
Yeah. Well, before we go on to your bears, I just want to say we have Jane in the chat room.
Yes. As in Jane that I would know.
I would think so. Jane Ghost Quest.
Ah, right. As in Jane, my wife.
Yeah.
Evening. Yeah.
Good evening, Jane. Nice to see you on there. I hope you're well.
Right.
So, do you want to say hello to her?
I've just done it.
All right, then.
Said hello, yeah.
So, okay.
I knew she was going to. I think I might have had a psychic moment. I had a feeling she was going to come through.
Well, we've only got 7 minutes left, so if we don't get through them all, we can come back to some. We can come back,
I mean, the next one's a pretty short one, but going back quickly to the thing you said about Facebook, I noticed a couple of years ago, every day I was getting requests for this medium and that medium. Can you vote for me? Now, now, on the other side of that, for my own purposes, I'll tell you later. I did a new page
Mm.
under a different name and called myself a medium.
Right.
You will be surprised how many friends requests I got
Really.
just
Yeah.
because I had medium under
Yeah.
my name.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I,
isn't
I,
it?
I actually got rid of a load. I had about 400 or 500 friends and I didn't know any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just because I had medium under my name.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's really daft.
You know. And just before you go on, Andy707 said the best example is the sea turtle. As soon as the egg hatches, the turtle knows to swim
Got to
to
get
the
to the
sea.
sea. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's right.
this
Yeah.
is it.
So no, that is another good example.
Yeah,
of that,
this is it. Okay, Steve, go on to
Okay,
the next one.
now we got the Shed of the Bear, the truly bizarre annual phenomenon. Stuck in the heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina sits Cashiers, a town known not much besides the bizarre annual phenomenon of a shadow of a bear. Now, I saw the picture and it does actually look like a bear cub. Now,
Right.
my instant thing was it's got to be a crop of rocks up there somewhere.
Mm.
But obviously they've checked this, and on the side of a 4,930 foot white-side mountain, an enormous bear cast its shadow for 30 minutes, starting at 5:30 p.m.
Mm.
The shadow shows up each day from late October to early November
All right.
and makes a reappearance from mid-February to early March. Over the years, the bear has become a major draw for tourists who are presumably already in the area to take some scenic foliage pictures because it's really beautiful part of the world. The best place to view is shadow is off Highway 64 at Road Big View Overlook. Now, where's this bear coming from? I mean, they've obviously checked to see if there's a crop of rock somewhere that's causing
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Is it a rock formation? The sun's just shining on it from a certain angle, like with pyramids and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my first reaction, but the actual story didn't mention whether they found it or not, but I'm pretty sure they would have checked it.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, especially as it's... The only thing that makes me wonder a little bit is that it only happens at certain times of the year.
Mm.
Obviously, you're not going to get the perfect bear unless the sun's in the right place
Exactly,
at a certain time of year.
Hmm.
But surely you would get at least part of it of the times when the sun's behind it.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, I know that is it? I can't remember which pyramid it is. It might be one of the ones that's in Latin America somewhere. That it only twice a year. I think it's on the equinoxes that it shines and it puts this perfect shadow on it and stuff like that. Because I mean, if you do a bit of basic mathematics on it, you will be able to work it out and to do that.
Yeah.
I would say a shadow. I need something a little bit more than a
This is
shadow.
it.
To be
We
honest
need
with
more,
you.
don't we?
I mean, I would have thought it's something in the Stonehenge.
Yeah.
When you
sure,
get
yeah.
a perfect time where it shoots straight through that gap.
That's right. Yeah.
Just in the right place on that altar that's in the middle there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
this is it. So,
Is it?
and going back to your medium bit on Facebook, Deb said that Lee was thinking of doing the same, but she would have put extra large. So, have we got time for your Bigfoot hunting?
I know he's heavy, but he's not that heavy.
Let's do your Bigfoot hunting before we continue.
Let me see. I think it's.
Or is that too long?
That's a little bit long, that one.
Right.
I can do the.
Which one?
No, they're all probably a bit too long for what we need.
All right.
So we'll have a little chat and we go back.
Well, what we'll
these
do,
later.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll come back after Ryan.
Yeah.
Later on with the rest of the observations.
Okey-dokey.
Okay, but what we'll do is have a quick break for our advert from Pigs Ghost Tour.
The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
Yeah, looks like Andy's leaving the bingo as we speak.
Yeah, we'll get him when he gets home.
Yeah, so we'll see him when he gets back.
I mean, how good is that we actually get our listeners
In the bingo,
in the
listening.
bingo, and he's got his headphones on in the bingo and playing bingo at the same time.
Right, that's
Yeah.
multitasking, isn't it?
Yeah, don't ask Deb. I don't know what it is, but he plays bingo on a Sunday night for some reason. So
That's a religious thing, isn't it?
yeah,
But bingo
must
is just
be.
one of these things. When anybody come up with anything, yes,
But a
'cause
man,
it's how you
bingo.
know it's how you worship God, isn't it? Because what happens is people mark numbers off in the bingo, and eventually somebody shouts house, and everybody else goes Jesus.
Oh dear, I can relate to that one. Oh dear me. So,
It's normally because you just jumped out your skin now, isn't it?
oh, dear, I just let him know that we're ready when we are. So, because
This is Ryan that we've got coming up.
yes,
Is it? Yeah. Right.
Ryan.
Ryan,
I
good.
love the way you do it, using the computer at the same time. Doing
I
this
know,
show.
I know.
You don't get this on the BBC, do you?
While we're waiting for Sue to make the contact there with Ryan,
Yeah.
what would you say was your personal favourite guest out of all the ones you've had? I know you've had quite a few.
Yeah. Coming back to, as I said, I found Jordan Maxwell to be fascinating. I've interviewed David Icke as well, and David Icke, they're
I'd
great
love
people.
to get him on the show.
Oh, they're great people to interview because you don't interview them as such; they just speak.
Yeah, like
Like
Lionel.
Lionel, So because the art of interviewing people is that the interviewer doesn't say an awful lot because people are listening to want to hear what the person's going to say.
Well,
And if you get somebody who can articulate it and put it across well, then it's obviously good to listen to. So
Yeah.
Ike's great. Do you know who I would love to interview? The American guy, Jesse Ventura. You know, the guy that was the ex-Navy SEAL, and then he was a wrestler, and then he was the governor of, I can't remember what it was now, but it's Minnesota. And he's got a great speaking voice and that. And I think he wants to be president. Actually, he would like to be, but God, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Oh, wouldn't it just?
I think your disclosure people would be over the moon if they knew he was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
This is it. So, so we're just waiting. Oh yeah.
You're going to share this laugh with us here. What's going on?
We'll put it this way. Jane said no.
It's not her.
No. She just said no.
All right. Okay.
And Jamie said, "Can you?" And Jane said no.
All right. Okay.
And I said,
You're not coming up with some sensitive information here, actually. What's going on?
"Oh God."
Well, put it this way: they remember something from a wedding.
Yes, and asked
Right.
me to play something.
Oh, right.
Exactly.
My song.
Can you play it? And she says, "No."
Yeah. No,
You never know.
You might as well let people. I've got this thing with this song. It's Fifth Dimension, Up and Away, My Beautiful Blue. I love that song. Yeah, I love that song.
You do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually asked you if we had a video of you actually doing your dance, but
Oh, thank God you haven't. And
No, I haven't.
Well, actually, I have. But,
Have
but it is too far away.
I've been ambushed here, haven't I?
It is actually too far away to put it on because you
Yes.
can't really see it clearly.
No, you
Happy
can't.
days. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
good. That's good
so,
news.
but I don't know. Let's have a look. So, I don't know what it is. So, anyone who don't know what the hell we're talking about, just quickly.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Is that
That's
the
it.
one?
That's the one. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's see if we can hear this while we're just waiting for.
People of a certain age will say.
Yeah,
know
people
this
of a
song.
Yeah, we was at
Sorry, Jane.
we was at a friend's wedding,
if this works.
and Roy said this was his favourite. And he went
Yeah.
and asked.
It's one of my favourite songs.
And
I'm
it's
pretty
one that-
eclectic, mate.
Yeah, you know. So let's see. You watch there be an advert. Oh, hello,
That's it.
Roy. Can you do the dance, please?
No, not happening. I'm going to say, you've got to bear in mind that at the time when I was actually doing that little shuffle, I was under the influence of
That's
alcohol.
not coming through there.
Is it not?
No, you've got the wrong one up.
Oh, sorry. That one.
Oh, people are missing out on the treat here. Aren't they?
Yeah. Can you hear that now?
Oh, blimey, look at those suits those guys are
I
wearing.
know.
Watching on YouTube.
Are you not? Well, I don't know why. Oh, yeah, he can hear it.
I think we get the gist of it anyway.
So, yeah, we get the gist. So, but anyway.
Right.
I'm going to see whether I can get hold of... he said 9 o'clock, so let's see. See whether he's there. Jane, no, how's that? See whether we've got him here. Play, do something. Ring. It was ringing out.
There we go.
Oh, right, okay.
Here we go.
Technology, isn't it?
If you have a problem with the anything,
Just let
please
us know.
let us know. And if you fresh, anything like that, if we lose us,
The
don't
person
worry.
whom you're trying to reach is
Oh, right
currently
then.
unavailable.
Oh,
Please leave a message.
That's not good, is it?
Beyond Contact.
He'll be back in a minute.
She's one foreseen circumstance. Oh,
Yeah.
the oldest gag in the book, isn't it?
Yeah, don't forget, if you have any problems with the, if it freezes or anything, just refresh. If you lose us at all, don't worry. It means that live stream's gone down, which
Right.
we hope it doesn't, and we'll refresh.
Well,
Okay.
Well, what I suggest we do, if you turn the Skype down,
Mm-hmm.
and you can keep trying to get hold of him.
Yeah. And you carry on.
And I shall carry on with.
Oh, get with your observation. More observation.
More
with
observation.
what we've got here.
Hit me with
Yeah.
Right,
He'll probably ring in a minute.
Bigfoot hunting. When they're finding Bigfoot routines reveal something in the water.
that. Yeah. Right.
Now, I saw the picture and I guessed what it was straight away. The HuffPost, otherwise known as the Huffington Post,
Yeah.
you get lots of good paranormal stuff in this this one. They went out on a Bigfoot hunt in New Jersey with Cliff Barrickman and Tyler Bounds, Animal Planet's Bigfoot. Finding Bigfoot. The conditions were perfect. The weather was calm and everything, and they were screaming out and doing all these sounds. And how they actually worked out that these were supposed to be mating sounds for Bigfoot, I do not know.
Right. Yeah.
But apparently making these sounds and banging wood on the trees actually attracts them, apparently.
Right.
But all of a sudden they heard this splash.
Mm.
And they got this picture, and they all jumped, and they all went, "Whoa, what's this?" And it actually turned out to be a beaver,
Oh,
A
right,
a lovely
yeah.
beaver,
Big beaver.
Big
beaver.
Not quite sure. I'm happy
But,
where this conversation's going. Actually. Yeah.
But no, I just didn't get. I mean, with all the high tech stuff they got, with all the cameras and the sensors and everything else, and they're brought down to whooping.
I think one of the guys that we did interview when he was doing Zone Unknown was Tom Biscardi.
Mm-hmm.
And he reckons he's had close quarters. He was actually
Yeah.
seeing the Bigfoot and what have you. And it's one of those things that I know that there are literally millions of acres of land in certain parts of America where you could potentially have some unrecognised species or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, if you went down the route of the abominable snowman, Yeti and stuff like that,
Yeah.
then I would imagine there probably is a possibility of it. I'd like to know what the likes of David Attenborough,
Yeah.
think of stuff like that. Is it David Attenborough? David Attenborough's
Yeah,
I
David.
get mixed up with Richard's
Yeah.
Richard's
David
Gandy,
Attenborough.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Which one's Rich?
Richard Gandy.
One of them's Gandy, anyway.
Ryan's ready.
No, even Richard weren't Gandy.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Are we ready for Ryan?
That was Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, it was when. Oh,
but he
God,
made
we
it.
don't
He
want
made
that.
that. He made Gandy.
Yeah,
That's
he
what it was
made
going.
Gandy.
Yeah.
Where are we? I ain't calling this.
But yeah, no.
Ryan.
I'd be interested to see what his
Uh,
take on it.
Just
whether or not there's any
a
basis.
quick note though for you tech fans. The cameras they were using were Night Vision Optics LRS Monocle.
Oh.
So very good, very
Right.
good stuff.
That just dropped. Can you call me?
Yeah.
So that's but no,
Oh, here he is. We're here.
I'll stop again.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I just want to make sure they can all hear you. Can you say hello to everyone in the chat room?
Yeah, we got him.
Right, can you just say hello to everyone, Ryan?
Hello, everybody.
Yep. Okay. So, Ryan Gooding, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in Phoenixstowe in Suffolk.
Oh, right. I thought it was Essex. Sorry.
But yeah, I do a lot of work in Essex and I travel all over the UK. So
Oh, that's what it is it?
yeah.
Okay, well, they're all saying hello to you in the chat room.
Hello, guys.
So, I don't know whether you're looking at the chat room.
I'm not at the moment. No, I'm
Right.
not.
No problem. It's not a problem. I just wondered, that was all. Right, so, you come from Suffolk. Is that where you actually hail from, Suffolk?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I was born in Ipswich.
Right, okay. And you obviously come from a family of gypsies and fortune tellers.
Yeah, I come from a family where my mother's side of the family is very much Romany gypsy orientated.
Uh-huh.
My father was fostered as a child, so we don't know his background, but my dad is himself a clairvoyant medium, so it's kind of part of the family and part of what we do.
Right, and how long have you actually been a medium?
I've known about my gift for a very long time, since I was very young. Probably first sort of sight until when I was about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I'm 23 now, so about 18 years I've been aware of things all my life really. But doing it in the public eye probably for the last 3 years. So yeah, it's been a bit of a journey.
How did you cope as a child, getting all these visions and seeing spirits and stuff?
I think it was a bit mad as a child, and as a young child, I probably wasn't aware of everything that was going on. So when I saw things, it wasn't, it didn't necessarily bother me because I weren't really sure what I was seeing. I thought it was normal. I think growing up as a teenager became a little bit more difficult, although I had the support from my parents, obviously being mediums themselves. Seeing things around people and making predictions of things that were coming true was a little bit daunting. And I think that, sometimes as a youngster, I thought it was okay to say something in places where it wasn't. I had some difficult situations at school where I would pick up on things around teachers and other pupils. So it was daunting at times, but, whatever challenge that I seemed to face with it, or any time that I tried to close the door on it, Spirit always led me back to where I was.
Yeah, and obviously, when did you decide from then that you felt as though this was the path to continue on?
I never really decided myself, and as a youngster, I kind of thought, being a full-time medium, doing readings and events day in, day out wasn't really something that appealed to me. I did a lot of singing and dancing at school, and that's what I really wanted to focus on. But it seemed anywhere that I went, it always ended up back to the fact that I was a psychic medium. And then, I used to do the odd reading for friends of friends and family friends. And it got to the point where one of my close friends actually arranged an event for me with an audience of about 30, 40 people without me really knowing what she was doing. And from that group of people, it's expanded to what it is today.
Right, okay. Now, obviously, we've heard stories from other mediums, and from clairvoyance and stuff like that when they are growing up and they're getting these feelings and everything, that it can, be pushed away, like you said. But obviously you've got to nurture it if you want to continue, I believe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I think that it is absolutely daunting, like you say, completely agree with you. It is very daunting as a child. I think it depends on your own personal life experience as to how well you deal with it. I found that through times in my life where things were very troubled, actually being a medium was actually the biggest help for myself in the world. It's better than any therapy or any advice anybody could give me. Spirit gave me the best advice. So I think for myself, really, that was when I thought, hold on, I've been through some really bad times myself from the age of about 12, and these Spirit are guiding me through this and, making this easier. And that kind of made me think, can they help other people? And that kind of made it obvious that actually what you're doing, Ryan, is what you're meant to be doing. Yeah. And you have to follow what they're telling you. Okay.
And did you mention just now that you are a singer?
Yeah, I do a bit of singing. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I did a lot of singing as a youngster. I went to college to study musical theatre. Kind of messed that up for myself. Got involved in things that I shouldn't have. Yeah. However, turned my life around. But, I was doing my singing part-time. I was doing my mediumship part-time whilst working full-time. Yeah. And it was the mediumship that just grew and grew and grew. And even today it's still growing and growing and growing, which is incredible, really.
Now, there's one question I'd like to ask you. I used to be a singer. Yeah. And I always used to think to myself, I'd hate to be a medium. Can you imagine, if people in the chat room, you turn round. I've got Roy Basnett with us.
Hi, Ryan.
Okay, so all right, so we'll be asking questions in a minute. But can you imagine being a medium, Roy and Ryan, and you're a singer as well,
halfway through,
and you turn round, and you're singing, and all of a sudden the 50, 70 people in a club that you're singing to
turn out to be 100,
and
right.
How do you ever have that sort of scenario?
I think for myself, I find myself when I do still do the odd gig here and there for the people that do follow me, because they do enjoy it. But I do find myself that you're in the middle of singing a song and hold on a minute, there's a message, there's something coming through for somebody in the audience. I think they don't always understand the No,
Yeah.
tonight Ryan is singing. He's not Ryan the psychic.
Right. Okay. And you call yourself the modern medium.
The modern medium, yeah, that comes from basically comes from other mediums in the area and people that followed me from the early days. The reason they call me the modern medium, I think, partly is because I was as young as I was when I started, but also a lot of people say that my style of mediumship is very unique, and I'm very direct in what I do. I know that all different mediums have their own beliefs and their own ways of working, but I mean, the reason they call me the modern medium is because I'm not afraid to touch on the subjects that other mediums would rather just leave out of the reading, and I'm not afraid to be quite direct. And a massive part of everything that I do, especially in my events and shows, is I'm very aware that if I've got an audience of 200 people, probably 15 of those are going to get a reading. So I've got 185 other people that I still need to entertain.
Precisely.
So I'm very comical as I deliver messages, but very modern in that as well.
Can you give me an example of being direct, Ryan?
I think being direct is, I don't like to creep around an issue. So, for example, if I can see that somebody has maybe been through some form of abuse, rather than missing that out because you maybe don't want to talk to the person, I would directly just say, this is what I'm seeing. And I think, when you're talking about sensitive subjects like that to somebody that you've never seen before, it's difficult for them to know, actually, can I talk about this? It's, because 50% of the time when you're talking about them sort of things, they haven't actually told anybody else. So nobody actually knows. So I think that the direct part of it is just basically what I see is what you're going to get. And if something not so positive comes through, then it's still going to come through. But, normally those people that get those things that aren't so positive actually find that warning actually makes that situation positive or prepares them for what's coming up.
So what you're saying is, say for the sake of argument, you've seen somebody that went to one of your demonstrations, if you like, and you this person was abused when they were younger or something like that, you would tell them in front of all of those people?
I wouldn't use the word abused. I wouldn't use that, because you do have to obviously be conscious of the people that are around you. However, I'm not going to dismiss that situation. So I would still talk about what spirit are given to me, but I would ask that person to come and see me at the end to then go into those finer details.
Right.
Whereas obviously in a one-to-one reading, it's word for word. Anything that I see is what is told. Anything I hear is told. And that's that being direct bit. And it was, the modern medium was never my name. It was a name given to me by my followers and by other mediums, because it was almost like, hold on, there's a new kid on the block and he's doing this in a very different way and a very modern way. And I think it attracts a younger audience. I think it does attract a younger audience to show them about spirituality. But it also, the older audience are still in tune with that, because it's something different to what they've seen for the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Right. We were talking earlier, Steve was talking about the method by which you will get your information. Can you tell me, if you're in a room with somebody, or if it's a one-to-one, are you physically seeing somebody, or is this just audio that's coming through to you? Can you explain what your communication method is?
Many different. I think the best way to explain this is a little story where a lady came walking into the room and she sat down on the sofa, and I saw this lady following her, and she also sat down. And I turned around and I said to the ladies, would you both like a cup of tea? And this woman said, what did you say? And I said, would you both like a cup of tea? And she said, hold on. She said, both. There's only me here. So that obviously shows you how strong that I see spirit. I do find that if I'm seeing spirit physically, I don't hear them. If I can hear their voices, I don't see them. It's normally one or the other. I don't normally get both at the same time. The only person that shows me both at the same time is my guide.
So would that be the case then, that if you saw somebody there, you could say, right, I have a person who just walked into this room here. They look. You could say eye color. You could say build. You could say
absolutely down to clothes they're wearing, shoes, jewelry.
Specific, not just generalization.
No, absolutely not. No, down to makeup. different colour makeup that they wear that to the person in front of me is significant, because they may have that, bronze eyeshadow, they may still have that, and things like that. I normally find when I see them like that, something within their image, or more than one thing's in their image, is actually very relevant to the person in front of me. In a sense, it might be that item of clothing that they passed in or were buried in that just gives that person that extra evidence that actually what I'm seeing is that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. So you can see them, but sometimes you can't hear them. Now, when you can hear them, how detailed and clear is that?
I always hear my guide through my right ear. She always talks to my right ear, and probably just as clear as this telephone conversation is. That's how clear my guide is. Other spirit that come to then communicate me for the person in front of me is a little bit more faint, but it's not. It's to the point that I know what they're saying. One of my pet hates when I watch other mediums is when they say, have I got Diane? Is it Joanne? Is it, absolutely not. There's none of that in any of my readings. If I hear the name Diane, that's what I'm going to hear. So it's clear enough to be 100% sure.
So you stick with Diane. You don't say Diane, or it could be Debbie. You stick with Diane.
No, if it's Diane. If that person then says they cannot take that, that's absolutely fine. Keep hold of that. Let's write that down. And let's see if that comes up in the future, because a lot of things that I do are about the future. Or, you find some people do go away and they ask their parents or their siblings about the messages, and they actually then place that person.
Okay. Right, talking about your guides, you mentioned your guide there. Do you know who your guide is? What?
My guide is a lovely lady called Kathy. And basically, when she was alive, I knew her when she was alive on the airplane, and she lived just down the road. And I used to go along on a Sunday morning with my father, and we used to go along and we used to do all the garden for her and cut her grass and anything she needed done in the house, that sort of stuff. She always said to me when she was passing, when she was ill, when she was deteriorating with cancer, she always was saying to me that she was never going to leave my side. She would be with me 24/7. She would be working with me. And the night that she passed is when I first saw her. My dad came to tell me that morning that she had passed, but I already knew. And exactly that, she asked me not to go to her funeral. She didn't want to say goodbye. We were going to work together. And as a 14-year-old, I thought, hold on, we've got an old lady here. She don't know what's going on. She's losing her mind, all those sorts of things. But it came very evident after that actually she knew exactly what she was talking about, because she was obviously a medium of some sort herself.
It's unusual from what we've heard from other mediums that for you to know your guide when they were alive. Normally it's an American Indian, or it's Tibetan monk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I hear that all the time. And I remember going to see a medium herself to have my own reading done, which I don't do very often, but from time to time I do. And her name was Pam, and she knew her guide, and her guide was a very similar kind of character, I guess, in her life, that it wasn't her grandmother, but she kind of played that grandmother role in her life. And that was very strange, because the first thing she picked up on was the situation with my guide was the same as hers. But other than that, she's the only person I've ever met in the same situation.
Ryan, can I just ask, is it? Do you think it's important to know who your guide is, or just know that you've got one?
My number one rule with and anybody that comes to have development with me or anything like that, or anybody who asks me that question, if you do not know your guide inside out, and you do not understand how your guide works, the connection you have with your guide, and that relationship with your guide, then I always kind of feel like you've failed at the first hurdle. Because I find that having such a close relationship with my guide allows me to do the extreme amount of work that I do. I hear a lot of mediums say they can only do one reading per day or 2 readings per day. And, myself and Kathy can easily do 9-10 in a day. And I just think because she knows me and I know her, we know where to stop. We know how it works. Nothing that I ever do in my work is not. It's almost like she's the person above me that if I want to do something within my work, she has to almost authorize what I'm doing to say, yes, okay, we've agreed, we're going to do this, let's do it. Yeah. And it's a very intense relationship, you know, and I get Christmas cards and things saying to Ryan and Kathy. You know, people, my followers, my fans, they know who Kathy is. They ask me how she is when they have their readings. How is she today? You know, she's almost, I think that's important. I think that is one of the reasons why I have had this much popularity, especially over the last year, because I feel that people that follow me really know who Kathy is. They know where she comes from. They know her story. So they almost feel that bit more at ease in your presence.
So can you get in touch with her at any time? Is she, if you like, on the end of a spiritual phone? So
yeah, she's a bit like a 24-hour hotline.
So you can speak to her now. You can
like
speak to her now then, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you only have one guide?
I have other guides. I have a young boy called Joseph who will come in to talk to me. The only time that Joseph comes in is when a child spirit is coming through. I very much believe that's because he's able to pass on the message of a child better to me than that of an elderly lady. So he does pop in and out, but he's not constant like she is. She's definitely the main person. But then also some of my relatives that are passed will also pop in on particular readings. And I normally find that when the person's circumstance in front of me is similar to what they went through, I find that they do pop in to talk about that. And I don't know whether that's because in spirit they understand that more because they lived through that. I can't really answer that, but I do know that, you know, there's a lot of similarity sometimes between the client in front of me and the person who's coming through.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. I think that was probably my fault for not saying the question right. Yeah. When I said know your guide, I didn't mean actually know who they are. But I mean, because obviously, if you're going to work with a guide, you need to know how they work and things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, if you didn't know that your guide was Kathy, but you knew you had a guide and you knew how to work with them. So what I mean by that is it important to know who your guide is?
No.
As an actual being, so to speak.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think it's adamant that you know who that person is, where they come from, their life history. I don't think that's important. I think the relationship you have with your guide is the most crucial thing. And I think, you know, you don't necessarily have to know them or necessarily have to know their name or anything like that. I think you just have to have that bond with them that you understand each other.
Would you be... Could we put you on the spot a little bit here then, maybe? And
can you
actually bring Kathy in now that perhaps maybe could tell us something about one of us in the room? Or is that not something that can easily happen?
I wouldn't do that without meditating first. But I'm more than happy to come back and do that for you guys.
Okay.
Very good. Right, okay.
I'm more than happy to do it. And, you know, I'm more than happy to, if you want to do a show and have some of the listeners calling in to have readings, I'm more than happy to do that as well.
That would be very nice of you, Ryan. Thank you very much.
I'm more than happy to do that. You're welcome.
Okay, Reiki Debs is in the chat room. She's asking, did you not have a guide before Kathy?
Not really, no. My great nan, who is one of the people that pops in to talk, I was very aware of her presence before Kathy. And it was actually my parents, they knew that what I was seeing was correct because of the way I used to talk about her, the things I knew about her. And she had passed, you know, before I was obviously born. So she was around. But I don't think that at any point in my life before Kathy, I didn't really understand it until Kathy came along, to the extent that I do now. Yes, I picked up on things, but I wouldn't say that before I was 14 I could sit down with one of you and do a full-on reading. It was just general stuff that I might have happened to be sitting next to you and I would just pick up something. It wasn't really until Kathy came along that I really understood what a guide was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand that.
And I think there are lots of people out there, hundreds of people out there, who have guides who are trying to work with them, and they don't understand that that's their guide. They may feel that presence, but I think you have to kind of really, you know, learn about why you might have a guide, who that guide is, and, you know, I think that they do go unnoticed a lot. And I think a lot of other mediums have more than one guide, and they use that main one, and actually don't realise there are 2 or 3 more sitting waiting to work with them.
Right, okay. And I really appreciate you saying you'll come back, so if we can work something out about that in, you know,
Definitely.
quite shortly. Now, excuse the way I phrase this, okay, and it's nothing personal, but you claim to have predicted Jade Goody's story. That's your claim to
Absolutely.
fame, yeah? Okay.
I wouldn't
or one
say
of them.
that was.
One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that was my claim to fame. I think it was, for me, the Jade Goody story, and I know a lot of people use that. A lot of people ask me questions about it. Jade Goody's story for me was almost confirmation for myself. And the reason I said it is because when I sat and watched Jade Goody on the television, sitting next to my housemate at the time, who was very skeptic, I will add, very skeptic.
Can I just stop you a minute? When you saw Jade Goody sitting next to your housemate?
No.
Oh, sorry.
When I saw her,
I thought I was going to say, is he in Big Brother? Is
That's what I thought. You was at home,
Right.
sorry.
I was watching TV with my housemate sat next to me when I
Right,
started to
okay.
pick things up. Unfortunately, part of being psychic, you do see things that are not necessarily positive. And I basically saw Jade's illness and her wedding, the date of her passing, the things she was going to do before her passing, and basically spoke with my housemate, and we wrote this all down at the time. I think the reason why it is so used, in the sense that the public ask so many questions about that, is it wasn't kind of, oh, hey everybody, I predicted this tragic story. It wasn't really that. It was more to do with the fact that because the things were so specific, I then gained confidence in my ability and in my work. So I then went on to use that. It kind of, I don't know, it was kind of the step for me that said, hold on, this is right, this is accurate.
Yeah.
You've got to start, this isn't, it's very difficult when you're young and you're seeing this sort of thing. It's very difficult to say, to the world, I am a psychic medium, because your first question about that is, tell me something. So it's very difficult to take that step. But after that gave me the confidence. And I think that's why so many people hold on to that.
Right. Now, excuse me for I'm just asking you in a way that the skeptics would ask, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Regarding this story that you're saying, Jade Goody, bless her, she's now gone. We all know about what happened with her, how she died and this, that and the other, and she got married. So what would you say to the skeptics about what you're saying about this?
How do you prove it?
Prove it, yeah.
How do you prove it?
I think the only proof that I have really is my housemate, her family. Her dad was a massive non-believer, and it took him for surprise as well. So I would say that is probably my evidence. She was the one sitting watching me at the time when I said these things, and she made notes about it. So I would say that is the evidence that I have.
Right, okay. Roy, is there anything else you want to?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is a subject that, I do find interest in it. And, going down the skeptic route, I'm sure you'll be aware of the fact that there are a lot of people who do mediumship or claim to do mediumship because they're making a packet out of it. And in some cases, it services an ego and that. Obviously, you're going to tell us that you're the real deal and what have you. Is there anything that's glaringly obvious that people should be aware of to spot somebody that is immediately a fake?
I think that when anybody goes for a reading with a genuine medium, you should leave that room thinking, hold on, I know that person was with me. Not I think. I think is not good enough. You've got to that person needs to walk. Does that make sense? Like they've got to walk out there and say, I know. Another thing that people should be really, really aware of is I don't do any of my bookings. I don't do any of that. That's all down to my PA, my management team that do all of that. When that person comes into the room, we straight away have a rule, and that rule is all that person is allowed to say to me is yes or no. There's no questions to be asked. They answer yes or no until the end of the reading. If they then wish to then ask questions about things that I've said, then that's their choice. But we have that because I know how many skeptics are out there. There's loads of them. And I think a lot of them, though they are skeptic, would actually like to believe, because it's a nice thing to believe, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's the point.
And I never ever, my favourite thing in the world is having a skeptic walk in and then walking out saying, I know my dad came through. I know my mum came through. I know that was my daughter.
Has that happened?
Because of the information. Sorry?
Has that happened to you? You've had that happen?
Yeah. Several times.
If people go with you, are they allowed to record what's being said?
Yeah, people can record. People can. A lot of people write notes.
Yeah.
Because it can be very personal. There may be things that come through that you know about, but you don't want so and so to get hold of and listen to. So some people choose to take notes and record it, and then they delete it if they don't want people to hear it. It's entirely up to the client. That reading is not a show for me. My readings are all about helping that person in front of me, helping that person get in contact with a loved one, or whether it's, they're in a situation in life where they need that guidance to move forward. So with me, it's very much, we work on, all of my team around me, we work on the basis that the person in front of me is the person, that's their reading. So they can have that however they want.
Okay, I've got 2 questions here, Ryan, from Ghost Rider in the chat room. The first one being, he often sees a man around him who sometimes comes and tells him things. His question there would be, do you think that was probably his guide? And the second question is, when you see things that when you're not with a client, do you write them down?
Okay, first question is, if there is a man coming into the room telling him things, I would tell him to write them down and to work out exactly what it is. Try and speak to this person if you wish to explore it, and maybe ask for more information. It could possibly be his guide. Personally, without sitting in front of him, I wouldn't like to say, unless I was actually in a reading situation with him myself. The second question, do I write things down? No, I don't. And my reasoning for that is because there is, obviously, as I go around my daily life, I do see things and I do see bits and pieces around people. The reason I don't write that down is because it will come back. Sometimes I'll see somebody who says, I booked a reading with you, Ryan, in 3 weeks' time. And I might there and then be picking up things on that person. But I believe if that stuff needs to come through, it will come through in the reading.
Going back to your spirit guide.
Yeah?
When your spirit guide is not guiding you, what are they doing?
They have a fantastic life up there.
When you say up there, you immediately said up there. You're talking about some kind of heaven here. Is that what you get?
I always say up there, but it's not up there at all. It's just a different energy plane. So,
right.
It's exactly the same place. I only believe there's one place. I don't believe good and bad go to separate. I don't believe we get judged as we get over there either. I think we all go to the same place. But it's kind of, what they do is they may spend time around their loved ones that are still here. They may be watching us or trying to guide us. Or they may be simply just doing things that they enjoy doing. So, for Kathy, that would definitely be sitting in her back garden, right. Making sure all the roses were looking as they should. They just spend time in places. There's nothing physical there, so they're not going to work or anything like that. But, it is a fantastic place, and it's a very lovable place as well.
But if you're saying that everybody goes, regardless of what you did on this planet, all goes to the same kind of place, and you just mentioned that Kathy carries on doing her garden, does that mean if you've got someone who's committed atrocities in this world, do they carry on doing that, but maybe at a happier level on the other side or something? I mean, how do you square that?
I don't believe that, say, for example, you were doing something like that this side, you would do that over there, because there's nothing negative over there, and there's nothing physical to be able to do those things.
What I'm saying is, where would those people go then?
I believe those people still pass to the same place, but they don't continue. Say, for example, a serial murderer, he's not going to continue to murder people in spirit, okay? But he will not be judged over there for what he's done. We've come to this earth plane to learn our lesson, to go down our journey, and we take those lessons back. Not physical lessons, but emotional lessons and lessons about our own souls is what we take back. Some people seem shocked when I say this, and this is probably me being quite direct, I guess. If somebody over here murders people, they're not seen as a bad person once they pass. So they may come through in a reading. I've done several people that have had murder victims as family or friends, and suicide, the same sort of thing. I've had the person that has murdered somebody come through with the person that was murdered. They don't keep their distance.
They've made up everything's fine with them.
Sorry?
And they've kind of made up, as it were.
Yeah, it's almost, we come down here, we do what we do, and I'm a very much big believer in, if I murder someone, that is probably what I chose to do when I got here to learn that lesson. If I'm murdered,
I
I
see.
probably chose that as well. So that's my lesson. So it's kind of anything goes once we pass. We're all forgiven, and it's all accepted that that's what we did because there were the lessons that we chose to learn.
Well, that's interesting.
Ryan, is your mediumship your full time, for the want of a better word, your full time job?
Yes, it's my full-time job. So I do one-to-one readings, I do telephone readings, and I do Skype readings internationally. Do a lot of charity events, and I also do, some big events as well. So yeah, it's my full-time job.
Before we come back to your Skype readings, I'd like to ask you a question about that. We've got some more questions in the chat room. Are you religious at all?
I wouldn't say that I'm religious. I do believe that there is some form of God. I do believe in a God, not in the same sense as a Christian God. I was christened as a child. I was brought up in that Christianity, but I don't necessarily believe that the Bible is true. But I do believe that there is a God, like a hierarchy in spirit.
And quickly to go back on to your guides, Haggis 4 has asked, do you feel they live on a parallel plane, or is he, I think it might be on about spirit, I'm not sure, but one or the other. Give us a answer for both of them. Do any of them live on a parallel plane? What would you think?
They live on a... I would say it's one plane. My definition would be that plane is in the same place, but is on a different wavelength, I guess, and on like a different energy. Is it parallel? I wouldn't say it's parallel.
No. Right. Okay. Now going back to your Skype, we hear a lot of little bit of a conflict between Skype readings. Some people say yes, it's not a problem. We have Alison Winrider on every so often. She does basically Skype readings for us, 3 or 4 for us. And we have some people that say, oh no, you can't do Skype readings. You have to be there with the person. Obviously you do Skype readings, but what do you feel about that?
I hear that all the time. A lot of people discuss that topic, so I hear that a lot. And a lot of people, before they book Skype readings, ask, what is the difference? Personally, my Skype readings are just as good as my one-to-one readings. Mm-hmm. I don't feel a difference between them. Obviously, every reading is completely different, but I don't feel that my one-to-ones are better than they are on Skype. I have a massive following in America for Skype readings. I don't think there's a difference for my work. But then I can't speak for any other medium. I think it's what the medium is also comfortable with. Does that make sense? Because I can talk on the phone just as though I'm talking to you face to face. Some people can't do that. Some people can't do that.
That's what I was going to say. Reiki Deb says, why do they have to be there or have Skype? You now say that obviously you can also do telephone readings.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it is possible. Is it the vibration in the voice that you're getting? Is that what's giving you that link? Or
personally, my thoughts on that is that if I'm on the telephone or Skype, the spirit that is coming through to pass on those messages is in my presence to give to that person.
So basically, for instance, if it was in international reading, they've popped into your house, so to speak, to tell you what to tell them.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
I've got a question for you. It's an ethical question, this really, and I would ask this of any medium. If somebody came to you, right, and you said things to them, and not one thing fitted, that the customer just couldn't take any of it, would you charge that person?
Absolutely not. And do you know what? This is one of my pet hates. I've had clients come to me that have seen mediums that have said to them, nothing's coming through for you today, and they've still charged that person. I've had people come, my readings are almost 100% satisfaction. If you're not happy with it, then you would get a refund or wouldn't pay, because again, it's that client's reading, it's their reading, and I want them to walk out of my room or put that phone down or end that Skype call, whatever it is, thinking to themselves, you know what, yes, so and so did come through. I know they came through. And I always say to people, and it's what I was saying earlier, it's important to know and not just think. There's a massive difference between those two.
You do get a lot of mediums that you hear saying, at the end of the day, that's what I'm getting, so that's what I'm giving.
Well, this is the thing. I wouldn't pick up on that there, because I'm kind of. I think it's good that you've said what you said there, really, Ryan. But I mean, you will actually find. I'm pretty certain you would find legally that if you said, "I'm sorry, that this is not. I'm not paying you for it," I think you find that you probably do that, because it's the same as if somebody came out and said, "I've come to fix your gas boiler. Oh, by the way, I can't fix it, but give me the money." You wouldn't be able to do it. It's a service, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like me walking into a restaurant asking for, I don't know, a piece of chicken, and them saying, well, I can't give you a piece of chicken. I'm not going to pay for a piece of chicken that you're not able to give me. Yeah. And I completely agree. And, one thing that I always touch on is some people, and not everybody, but some people out there that come for a reading or contact for readings, they're very vulnerable. They're in a position where, people around them are past, they're very lost, they don't know where they're going, they don't know what to do, they just need that bit of comfort. So some people are very vulnerable that they wouldn't like to say, actually, do you know what? I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm not happy with paying for that. Because they're vulnerable, they just go along with whatever that they hear. And that is one of the things that, makes me, I guess, the modern medium. My clients will tell me. They will tell me. I don't get many no's. I don't like no's. If we get no's, I always say to the client, if they don't understand what I'm talking about, which has probably happened 2 or 3 times, I will say to that client, you are more than welcome to come back and see me at a later date, and we can do this again, or I'm more than happy to give you your money back. And I will say, out of those 2 or 3, I've never really given anyone their money back, because the second time it works. I never forget one lady, she came in and she didn't understand a word I was saying. Now, I could do what any other medium says, well, that's what I've got, that's what I've got, that's what you're getting. I did say to her, come back at a later date, which she was more than happy to do. But I also said to her, do ask about your close friends and your family, and see if anybody understands anybody or can help you out. Are these people that passed before you were here? Because they can still come through. And she actually spoke to one of her close friends, and her close friend's mum can actually take the whole reading, made complete sense. And it was very detailed, and she knew that was her partner, which was her friend's dad, that was in spirit. And so that is incredible. It was almost like that reading wasn't for her, but it was for someone that she knew, and I believe that can happen as well.
Can I just, before Steve asks you a question, being a paranormal investigator, we hear a lot in the field about there should be a governing body and stuff like this for ethical practices, so to speak, and the way we should work, which we do agree on, really. But do you feel in the world of mediums, Ghost Riders asking, that there should be a complaints ombudsman set up for the rogues out there?
There is
there already out there?
Trading standards.
Right.
I absolutely agree with that.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely. And my reason for that is because, just like anything else, you sometimes do need to take things further, and I think that it would help cut out some of the frauds that are about, because I always say to any genuine mediums, frauds only make our job that bit tougher. And I guess I know my manager always says to people, if you are a bit of a disbeliever, if you're not sure, just go and see him, and then make your mind up then. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that there are. I've seen it. I've seen cases of mediums go into people's houses because they're trying to get ladies to do what they want. Without saying it on air. But and I think that is extremely wrong, because again, it comes down to that vulnerability of people. That some people are vulnerable, and if I sat and told some people that the reason they were in front of me is because they were going to be the love of my life, I know there are some people that would say, okay, and agree with that. Because that's what they believe. Anything, you can tell some people anything and they'll go and do it, because that's the state of mind they're in.
Yeah, just quick as you finish off on this particular subject here. There used to be the case that mediums were regulated, if you like, under the Fraudulent Mediums Act, and a couple of years back that changed, and because of the fact that there's a lot of money to be made in it, it's now governed by the trading standards. And that being the case, that it is the law, that a medium has to say, look, I can't scientifically support this, and therefore it is at your discretion that you take it.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Because I mean, that is the law, and if you go to a place like Australia, they will throw you in
But
prison.
how would the medium prove that he's done what he's done? And that,
But this is it. Yeah, that's from saying that's the question that I'm
Yeah.
putting to Ryan. How do you square that?
Yeah, you have to pay entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
yeah. Go on, Ryan.
Do I think it's entertainment? No, I don't. I don't think it's entertainment. I don't think the actual content of the message. When you're at a show, there is part entertainment.
Yeah.
Not in that you say things because they're entertaining, but you do need to entertain. But I strongly disagree that it is entertainment. I strongly disagree. And it comes back to that thing, doesn't it, where you cannot scientifically prove it. However, if you can sit with a person and tell them things that they've never told anybody, they know you wouldn't know, and it is detailed, they don't need you to say that it's scientifically proven, because they know that they know that what you're saying you cannot possibly know about that person. So no, it's one of those touchy things, isn't it? And I think a lot of mediums, hate that and hate the way that they have to say, I do have to say this is not scientifically proven, this is entertainment.
Yeah.
But I think that, that little phrase at the beginning of a show or a reading or, a radio show.
Which incidentally they do it on all paranormal shows now. I never used
Absolutely.
to.
Absolutely.
Would you therefore like to, following on from that, would you like to see some people actually be prosecuted? That if you know that these people are clearly fraudulent, would you like to see some people prolifically prosecuted so it sends out a marker?
I think that's...
If somebody was blatantly faking, was coming up with information, getting information beforehand.
Absolutely, because I think, when somebody's sitting in front of you, and if somebody is fraudulent and they're telling them things just because they're making it all up, and that person believes that is their loved one in spirit that's talking to them, I think that is morally wrong.
Yeah.
I do think that's wrong. I know some people will flip that over and say, however, even if they're not communicating with their loved one and it gives that person comfort, is it maybe still a good thing? Because it does help that person. And, I can see both sides of that. But going back to the entertainment thing, I think that once you do your work, if you're somebody that is an accurate medium, I think that your work will speak for itself, and I don't think that little phrase at the beginning of the show actually matters.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a bit of a moral dilemma for you.
Okay.
If you're giving a reading to someone, and you're being told that the person sitting in front of you is an abuser or a murderer or something like that, what do you do about that information?
I can't say it's not happened, because it has.
Okay.
I think you have to decide, personally, if I was sitting in front of someone that was a murderer, I'm probably personally not in the best situation, and obviously don't agree with what they're doing, because that's my physical, that's like physical Ryan. Spiritual Ryan and my soul understands that actually when this person passes, that was their journey that they should take, and that person, just like anybody else, is here for their reading, and they should be given that guidance from spirit, because spirit are not going to come in and say what you did is wrong. They might bring that situation up, which they have on many occasions. They'll bring that situation up, but my job at that time and what that person is paying for is that message from spirit. So if they wish to guide that person, they guide that person,
So it's a bit like a solicitor guiding, looking after a murderer, even though they know that they commit the thing. They've got to try and get him off.
Yeah, but
absolutely, because that's their job. That's that's what they're getting paid to do. Same situation. Yeah, that's a really good way of explaining
it. But down here on this plane, on everyday life, would you report it to the authorities?
Say that again, sorry.
Would you actually report it to the authorities?
If that person sitting in front of you, you knew was an abuser or a murderer or whatever?
That breaks again, it breaks my morals, because my morals are that whatever comes to me is confidential.
I'll give you a scenario. We went to see a medium. I won't mention any names, okay? We went to see a medium, and let's just say, for instance, you are on stage. It's a bit similar, but say you're on stage and you're talking to this woman, right? And you've picked up on the fact that this woman's friend has a son that's been murdered.
Okay.
Nobody knows who the culprit was. But the son's come along to you and told you. Yeah?
Who it is.
Yeah.
Who it is. Would you go to the police and tell them? The reason why I say that, because the medium we saw came out with all this
And said he would.
and said, after the show, I will be going to the police station and giving them what I've been
Really?
told.
No.
We never heard anything after that, but would you do the same thing?
No,
Right.
because that person that has come through and given me that information, the spirit are really aware that they're giving me that information for this boy's mum or his mum's friend in
Right.
that situation.
Well, this comes back to the point you made
I
earlier.
wouldn't
anyway,
announce
isn't
that
it?
on stage.
Yeah.
I wouldn't announce that on stage. I would probably say to a lady, I would still pass on. You know, it's incredibly important that anything spirits say to me, they pass on, because it always works out that there's a reason why they're saying that. But I personally wouldn't go to the police. I don't think the police would listen. In things where I've helped people find missing people, or cases where people are very close to the edge and kind of about to commit suicide and stuff like that. The police actually in this country don't listen to mediums. So it's very frustrating and very difficult. They don't let you guide them. They will just say that their investigation will continue as normal, despite what you've said.
So what do you think of these people who claim to say, yes, I've helped the police? Do you think they're just making that up, or what? And that the police have took the information on board?
I don't think that they are. The police don't take all information on board. However, I can say you may do a better job than the police. I will say that. And the only reason I say that is because, no disrespect to any police officer or anything like that, because, I think they do an incredible job in this country. But I know incidents where I've said to the police, this is where so-and-so is, this is what I pick up on, and they've basically said, unfortunately, we're not going to listen to that as part of this investigation. And then I know that when I've said that to the family and they've gone to this place, they have found that person. Obviously, in America, it's a very different story, because in America, they do listen. And I think that's an incredible thing. But I also think, again, in America, it's kind of, because it's so loose, anybody could say, anybody could phone up, I'm a medium, this is where they are, and could waste time. So I do think that in that respect, that maybe some sort of test or some sort of evidence should be given from that medium before a policeman just, goes ahead to the location.
Your Linda's joined us in the chat room.
Oh, hello, Linda.
Okay, so she's popped in, and some of the questions that have actually been coming on, and remarks that have been coming on in the chat room, she's caught the end of it and what have you, and the gist of. Basically, like some of the questions in the chat room where they're conversating on their own, it's what people need to know, if you understand what I mean. It's not that we're disrespecting you in any way. It's just that with some people, they need to know how it works, if you understand what I mean.
The old nuts and bolts.
The old nuts and bolts of it. People can turn around and say, oh yeah, I'm getting anti-flow or whatever, and they need to know how you're getting that, how do you work that way, and that's what it's all about, you know what I mean? And it's like Linda just said, Ryan, you have worked with the police, it says.
Yes,
on a missing persons inquiry. Obviously this is private and confidential, but whether you want me to edit that, I didn't read that bit. Do you want me to edit that out of the recording? It's entirely up to you.
No.
Yeah.
No, I have advised police on things that I picked up on, and they have proven to be correct. But like you say, it is very private and confidential.
Yeah.
And like we were saying earlier about, would you report so and so if you knew something? Absolutely not, because every single reading is private and confidential.
Yeah. Well, this is it. You're a bit like a doctor, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not my place to say. I can be offered money. I have got celebrity clients. I have read for recognised celebrities.
Yeah.
I can be offered money from a newspaper to tell them what was in that reading. I can sit and read magazines and know that actually what they're saying about a certain celebrity is definitely not true.
Yeah.
But again, I wouldn't accept money to sell a story, because it's private and confidential.
No, this is it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So basically, obviously, you've got your guides, you've got all the bits and pieces you need to do this job. obviously.
Yeah.
And you, like you say, you've got bookings and stuff. But it's not just that. Like you say, you do charity work as well, don't you?
Yes, yeah, we do. I think a classic example of this really is probably Friday night. I've done all different things for all different charities. And now being in a position where I have so many followers and fantastic following and support from people that really do support everything I do, and this is a good opportunity to thank them for that, because without those guys I wouldn't even be where I am now. But holding an event on a Friday night in a local club in Ipswich town, which isn't a massive town, but holding a little night like that, managed to raise just under £900 for a girl who's going over to Africa to help in schools where children don't even have a pencil, to help elephants where their mothers have been shot for the ivory horns and stuff like that. It just goes to show, but that by doing something that for me is very simple to do, raises such a fantastic amount of money for charity.
Yeah.
So, and it also allows me, now that I have that support and following, to do some things like on New Year's Day. I'm joining that girl. We're jumping into the sea in Felixstowe on New Year's Day, and getting sponsors for that. It allows me to do stuff like that as well. And I think it's important. And I've always said you have to give back for everything that you get.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll lose what you've got. And I'm a massive believer in that.
Yeah, and like you say, going back to your shows, we've seen many. Well, I've not seen many, but I've seen the odd one where they're doing a show and like they're talking to somebody, giving them their message, and everybody else in the audience are sitting there bored. Like you say, you've got to be an entertainer, haven't you?
You've got to Absolutely.
You've got to bring them into it and make them laugh and what have you, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Some people don't understand it half the time, but why there's so much flamboyancy, some people call it, you know what I mean? And that's what I mean. And the show is, look at Derek, he gets slouted for that, doesn't he, really?
Derek will be the first to admit that he's a showman and stuff
this
like
is
that.
it, but
He'll have his aspect. You've got to do it, because here's the thing here, what I always say, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, actually, that when people say, "Oh, I watched that most haunted on television," a lot of rubbish, that they're making it up. If you were to put a program on the television of a paranormal investigation where the only thing that happens all night is a bump, nobody's going to watch that television.
No.
Nobody's going to advertise when that television program's on. So it's the difference. But if you want to do paranormal investigation, go off and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Don't complain when it's on the television, because television is by definition there for entertainment.
Yes.
It's the same as, like, if you go on a roller coaster, you've got to have loops, right? You've got to have drops and that. It's the same with television. You've got to have it that way. So it's no good having a go at these people. I think that's my kind of take on it.
Yeah.
So therefore, coming back to a bit, and you could say, if you do a show, if you're a medium and you do a show, and you're charging for people to go in there, yes, people want to be entertained, and therefore you could arguably say, well, I'm making money off that, which will allow me to do what I want to do, which is, do the serious stuff. I can afford to do it. So you could look at it in that respect.
Reiki Debs is just asking, why don't you just go for the one-to-ones instead of a show? Why do mediums do shows?
Well, it's probably the entertainer in you that would have thought that, Ryan, isn't it?
Partly, I guess. Yes, that's me showing off, I guess. No, on a serious note, I mean, to use as an example, I think some people that are skeptic, it is definitely worth them going to a show.
Yeah.
And I think that it is a way of reaching out to people to publicly demonstrate what you're doing, to give them a taster, because some people are extremely nervous about having a reading done. They're not sure what to expect. Other people are very skeptic, and they kind of want to almost test you out before they book that appointment. I hear a lot of that. I came to your show on this date and I liked what I saw. That's why I'm sitting in front of you now.
Yeah.
So I think it gives people the opportunity with their friends or family, to go and see somebody, to actually find out that little bit more, to get that kind of taster of what it's about. Because sometimes a reading is, I think that some people kind of abuse that sometimes, because the reading for some people is life-changing. It's a massive step. It's a big thing for them. And I think that, people don't want to be rushed or pushed into that. And it just gives them that stepping stone. And some people will walk out and say, do you know what? That really isn't for me.
Yeah.
Or some people will say, oh, wow, I want to go. I want this to be more personal. I want that one-to-one reading.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting because you mentioned earlier about that you get the specific, you'll stick with the name, and if you can't move on from that, you won't deviate, because often is the case. And I suppose there's a bit of a contradiction here because we are saying that a lot of the shows are for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
And what I can't be doing with is when a medium gets arrogant because he's questioned, when he's saying, he's so vague and so general, saying, I have somebody here in their 70s, passed with a chest condition, like probably 80% of the country.
Yeah.
They've got grey hair. Of course they've got grey hair.
Mhm.
And they relate to somebody in the earth. And that is generalisation.
Yeah.
I won't accept that is mediumism. I just won't accept it.
No.
Do you know what? And this is funny you say that, because going back to the question you asked me earlier, and I should have really said this. Now we're talking about like public events.
Yeah.
When you asked about how do you spot a fraud, how do you spot someone that's not a genuine medium? I can never ever understand whether there's 10 people in front of you or there's 1,500 people in front of you. I never understand how you don't know who you're talking to. So you're correct. You know how you're saying, if you ask 1,500 people, John is here and John is looking for James, someone's going to be able to connect that somewhere. Absolutely. I also think if 5 people put their hand up because someone says, oh, I've got a girl who committed suicide, their hopes are raised that, oh my God, so-and-so is coming through, to then find out that actually they've got to now put their hand down because it doesn't quite fit them as well as it fits someone else. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong because you're raising their hopes.
Sorry, mate. Carry on.
And I guess that is another answer to your question, is what do I mean by direct? In every single show that I do, it is not I'm on this side of the room or I'm this side of the room. It is simply I am with that person there in that red top with that pair of glasses on, or that person 3 rows from the back in the blue top. Yeah. That is where I am. That is who I'm with.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, but I can think of one particular medium, and every single show that person does live, there's always going to be somebody that hung themselves. You get this all, you get it on Paranormal Investigation. Yeah. Somebody hung themselves in here. God blimey, the amount of people I've seen on these, there must be nobody left at all hanging themselves. I don't want to make light of the subject and that, but it's always the same thing. And they'll say this, who's got a scar in the elderly? I've got a lad here with a scar beneath his knee. Most lads have. Yeah. When you're a kid and stuff like that. So it's the tricks of the trade in a lot of cases. Yeah. But by the same token, for people who would go to watch a show, and that's what it is, you can call it a demonstration if you like, but it's a show, then you have to accept that that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I just put on here. I said, because Deb still couldn't get why go to a show. I said, well, a show by definition is entertainment.
Yeah. A reading is a bonus. It's a bit like a taster.
Reading is a bonus.
Yeah. It's a bit like a taster, even though you're not getting the reading. Yeah. You're getting a taster from what somebody else is reading because they're sharing the fact, they are getting that. Yeah, it is true. Or how the hell did you get that?
Ryan mentioned earlier, I get the impression that you'll throw the odd gag in there when you're working on a stage.
Yeah, it's,
again,
how you're saying that they always pick up on, or somebody's hung himself and stuff like that. I think for entertainment purposes, that reading is entertainment. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And if you've got somebody that breaks down into tears, that is entertainment. To people, and it's almost like I think personally, it's wrong to go out in front of an audience and to look for that kind of thing just to make it entertaining. Every single my guide tells me who to go to, who's coming through, and what it is. Yes, if I had a murder victim, a suicide, a young child pass, a road accident, if that was the lineup of readings for that night, it's going to be extremely more entertaining than the little old lady who passed of old age.
Yeah.
However, you've got to be true to yourself. And, I think that you have to be able to trust that medium in front of you. If you don't trust them, then there's no point.
Yeah, this is it. We've spoken about, I'm not sure if this is a question for Ryan, for you on here. I'm just asking this CJ Fritzky if that was a question for Ryan. Yes, right, okay. What is the most difficult thing or part of being a medium?
I think that if you're a medium, you have to accept the fact that not everybody is going to believe in what you do. Mm-hmm. You are going to have people question what you're doing, question your ability, call you fake, call you fraud, and you have to accept that although what you believe in is not going to be what somebody else believes in, and you have to understand that. You have to be cool with someone telling you that they think you're lying. You have to just get over that. I think the most difficult thing for myself is when you are trying to reach out to people to help as many people as you can, and then because because I'm becoming well known and more people are hearing my name and it's just spreading and spreading.
Yeah.
When you get somebody really putting you down for something that is completely irrelevant or completely wrong or slander, that for me is what I find most difficult, because you think to yourself, oh my God, why is somebody doing that to me? But at the same time, your true followers will just dismiss those people.
Right, good answer. Have you ever done a paranormal investigation by any chance?
I absolutely love paranormal investigations. I absolutely love them. And what I will say before we say anything else is, part of that modern medium phrase is also that I'm a very skeptic medium.
Right.
So, I've been to paranormal investigations where there's other people that are mediums, and the slightest noise is, we've got something, and you've probably seen this yourself, you guys. And I'm very skeptic, because if I hear something, I want to know, was that pipe? Who was standing there? Do you know what I mean? So, but no, I absolutely love them, and I get just as scared as anybody else, I'll be honest.
Right. Well,
from Jamie, which I think is quite good.
Oh, go on. Well, I think he answered that earlier. Do you think that the charlatan mediums are making your job more difficult? You did mention that, didn't you?
Yeah, I think they are, but I think that if you are genuine, that will speak out. The more people see that, they will tell other people that they think you're genuine, and it does kind of eliminate that.
Yeah, and you have to be a skeptic medium, don't you, really, with certain things, especially paranormal investigations. You can't just assume that everything is paranormal. You've got to really check it out, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I do a paranormal investigation and I've got a team of people with me, I want nothing more than them people to walk away to be able to say that they saw something, or something that was unexplained, or they caught here, whatever it is. That's what I want them people to get. They need this evidence, and that's what I want to give them. However, I'm not going to have people banging on the walls to make that happen.
Precisely.
Because I want to give them the real deal, and that's what I'm all about.
Well, it's been great having you on the show, Ryan. Really, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And I hope you haven't minded most of the questions that have been asked.
That's been absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
That's good. And as I say, you've promised to come back on and do some readings sometime.
Absolutely.
All right. And if you want to arrange something with us and send us an email with some possible dates, that'll be great, and we'll try and marry something up.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my love. Well, you take care of yourself. All right.
I will do, and you guys take care. Nice speaking with you.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't forget us, and don't be a stranger. And remember, we're keeping the paranormal friendly here, so
exactly.
All right. You take care. God bless.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you, Ryan. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was Ryan. We'd like to thank Linda for coming in, and she's put the website on there, ryangooding.co.uk, and it's all on there about Ryan, how to book a reading, his calendar, testimonials and links and events, and there's another interview on there as well. I'm really pleased that he's come on. Thank you, Linda, for sorting that out for me. It was really a pleasure having him on, and as I say, sort something out with us. All right. CJ Fritz, thank you for popping on as well. I think you only came on to listen to Ryan, but either way, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.
And Jamie's
we haven't finished yet.
Yeah, Jamie's right there. Ryan did come across very honestly and didn't avoid
He didn't avoid any question.
I thought he was certainly better than a lot that I've spoken to be honest with you. I'm quite negative about media.
And you're saying, those of you that have not long come on, you're an you're not an ex-presenter, you're still presenting, but when it comes to Zone Unknown that you used to do on CityTalk, and stop swearing now, but as I say, when it comes to that, you've been in this, John, you've interviewed the best of them, haven't you? So we have the man here, and you must come across some of these people.
I mean, there's a lot of people that you get on, and immediately, and perhaps maybe, I'm very contradictory with myself when it comes to this subject, because there's some people that I'll dismiss out of hand, and then there are some people I'll think, well, I'm going to say perhaps maybe there's more mileage in that, but it's almost, and perhaps maybe it is one of the contradictory things here. Now, perhaps maybe there is an element of clairvoyance that comes into it, because within the first few words of speaking to somebody, you know if the guy's on the level,
Mhm.
or even the woman's on the level, or anything like that, or whether or not it's just going to be BS. And I think that perhaps that goes for a lot of people. You can walk into a room.
Yeah.
Instinct. I mean, you would call it instinct. Some people might call it a form of clairvoyance. That you can walk into a room and you know something's not right, or you speak to somebody for the first time and you immediately don't like that person,
Mhm.
right? It's the same. If you take your dog for a walk, our dog's very nervous because it's been attacked a couple of times,
Uh-huh.
but it's weird really because you walk the dog and it'll steer away from dogs, and then all of a sudden it might see a big dog and it'll go running over to it,
Yeah.
and it's almost if it right. Well, I'm okay with that, and I think it comes back to this business of perhaps maybe the closer you get to your animal instinct,
Yeah.
the more you can rely upon yourself to make a better judgment of things. But yeah, no, I've spoken to a number of people, as I say, and I've enjoyed the things that they've got to say. The one thing that I don't like is arrogant people,
Yeah.
right? That exist in a great abundance
Mhm.
within this community, if you like. On both sides, you can have a medium that will not have their ability questioned, that think they are the be all and end all, that they have all the answers.
Yeah.
And then you have a skeptic. Now, to me, if you got to be a good skeptic, you need to be of the James Randi, Dawkins, and Christopher Hitchens, like Christopher Hitchens. If you can be of that standard, so you can back up what you're saying, I have a lot of time for people like that. But you will get some people who just ain't going to believe anything, right?
No.
You just ain't going to believe anything. And it is a good thing, because I mentioned I would do this for you when I came in tonight, to prove categorically
Yeah.
the existence of God. That God
Okay.
exists. Now, this isn't me. I'm not been a religious person here.
No.
I can prove it to you
Go on.
now, right? And here's how you do it. In Geneva, there's a thing called the Hadron Collider, the CERN facility. It's 22 miles of tunnels that's accelerating protons, and I don't know the physics of it.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is they're looking for this God particle, which I believe they might have found it, the Higgs boson or something, which explains everything, right? And I always remember when they fired up the CERN facility, everyone was concerned that you were going to create a Big Bang,
Mhm.
right? And it was going to blast, we'd be
Yeah.
a black hole. Now, if I've got this right, the purpose of the exercise is to recreate the circumstances which brought the universe into being, right?
Like an
That
antimatter.
created life
Yeah.
on this planet.
Uh-huh.
Now, in order for that to work, you would have to do that,
Yeah.
right? You would have to create life.
Mm.
So what does that make the scientists who have put that program together?
God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So who's to say that, people could turn around and say, well, God, yeah, bearded guy. Why?
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't. Maybe, well, it is an interesting thing. A lot of people's interpretation of God is a long-haired guy with a beard,
Yeah.
which is what most scientists
is
have a
it.
tendency to look like as well. And that's what it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. I mean, that isn't I'm not saying that is the thing that I subscribe to. It's one of the options that I look on the table. The other thing as well, when I know I'm going into another area here, but the other thing I look at as well, when people say, who are we? Because everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
There's more, and I believe there's more to life. I really, really do.
Mhm.
But there's nothing you won't find in a human that you won't find in a computer, right?
No.
Because if you know your hard drive there, which is your brain and your central processing unit being your heart, everything that's in a computer is in a human.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing, if you're going about past life regression,
Yeah.
if you know anything about computers, if you reformat your hard drive on your computer,
Yeah.
it doesn't get rid of what's gone on in the
No,
past.
no.
It just means you can record over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
There's still a shadow there.
And if you go to a certain company, they can retrieve that information. So you've got a past life regression thing that potentially goes on there. So and people say, well, hang on a second, how can we be a computer? I'm flesh and blood. If you're programmed to believe that,
Yeah.
then that's how it is. And you've only got to look at technology now as it is,
Mm.
is that we're creating artificial intelligence,
Yes.
robots. You've got a robot now that can ride a bike in Japan. You've got that going on. And then you've got stem cell research. So they're creating flesh and blood. They're growing out. They'll ultimately be able to grow organs and things like that. So if you say, for the sake of argument, that's where we are now, in 1,000 years' time, it goes without saying that humans will be easily replicated, right? So you could turn around and say that is what's already happened.
Well, they started it with Dolly, didn't they?
The Ollie chip, all that kind of stuff. So you could turn around and say that is what you are.
Yeah.
And that this explains as well why we cannot explain the beginning of time, the end of space. That's the big mind blower.
Yeah.
The reason you can't do that is if I send you an email, right, with a PowerPoint presentation on it, and you don't have the PowerPoint program, your computer hasn't got a clue what that is. It can't work it out. It can't do anything with it. It's the same with humans. If you go down the route of us being computers, right, biological computers, you haven't been programmed with that information. Therefore, you cannot work it out. So I know it's a little bit deep, it's a little bit heavy going, but it's a possibility. You know, and going back to the points earlier, Ryan mentioned something like he doesn't believe in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily subscribe to a lot of what's in there. But if you look at the stories, there's a tremendous series that's on H2 on Sky, on the Sky channels at the moment. It's called Ancient Aliens. And if you listen to all of the descriptions that's in the Bible, they're not describing gods. They're describing spaceships, right? They say, if say for the sake of arguments, I've got a Honda CRV, right?
Yeah.
If I go back 2,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago to Mesopotamia when all of these people were believing on all these gods and stuff, and I turn up in my car, right? No one's going to turn around and say, in the history book, say, you know what, fella turned up on the CRV today. You see it? No, they wouldn't do that. They say, the fire-breathing, roaring beast came out, travelling at speeds we could not imagine. That's how they would describe it. And it goes on about, you know, the likes of Sodom and Gomorrah and things like that in the Bible. And you think, yes, God rained down fire and brimstone. It sounds like a nuclear attack to me. You've got to describe it as the ancient people. What they saw, that's what they wrote about. They didn't create, they didn't have imaginations to think, well, let's just do this. Well, perhaps maybe some people did. They wrote down what they saw. And you've only got to look at the I think it's the pyramids. If you go to the pyramids, where you can clearly see in the hieroglyphics tanks, helicopter ships, helicopters, and all kinds of stuff. You don't believe me? Go on, you'll find it. It's all in there. And the truth is, this comes back full circle, because when you have the paranormal and you have conspiracy theory, it all intertwines. And the way I say that is because what you know about life is not what you've learned for yourself. You've been taught it at school. You've been given a book. You've been taught that this is what's going to happen, right? And that is how things have always been passed down. And it's the big thing you've got now, the media. No one trusts it. On a scale of 10, let me put the question to you. On a scale of 10, 1 to 10, how much do you trust the media?
Not a lot. About
two.
If
on a scale
that,
of 1 to 10, how much do you trust your government?
One.
So your two principal sources of information you don't trust.
No.
And everybody knows, if you look at history, Second World War, they were all started with false flag operations. Because the media fed that information to people. The propaganda machine went into action and everybody was told. So all you know is you only know what you've been told. And this, eventually, doing my Lionel Fanthorpe thing, come back to where to start, is that you have to take in, this is my view on the world, you have to take in all of the information and then you have to make your own judgments. You take the information that you feel is right. I believe that all of the answers are within every human. There's a little Haynes manual inside somebody's head, and it's accessing that information. You know, or even maybe going back to the computer analogy I mentioned humans before, that there is some antenna within you that you hook up to the human internet. Give me the information, what I need to know. I need to know it direct, and then you come out with it. Probably covered quite a few subjects. There, really.
You do.
Well, this is going to sound quite bad, actually. For all Ryan said there, and it was a good interview, I enjoyed a lot of what he said. Something that stuck out. When he was asked the question about whether they're on different planes, he actually said he thinks they're a different frequency. Now, if that's the case, why are we looking for ghosts? Why aren't we looking for the frequency that would bring them back? So we can see them, talk to them like I'm talking to you.
Here's the thing. What I would say when we go on, let's look at paranormal investigation, and people will go out and they'll get the EMF meters, and they'll get the thermometers and all of that. To me, if you think it works, fine. For me, it doesn't work.
No.
Audio is all you need, as far as I'm concerned. And when I say audio, get something decent. You might have to pay a little bit for it, but it's no good getting an old tape recorder because you're going to get natural background hiss on it. If you get a good quality audio recording and then you put it into a program, you can get Audacity off the internet, which is freely available. If you can get something that shows it up in some kind of oscilloscope, so you can see because you've got to remember, human hearing is very, very limited.
Yeah.
Right? Dogs can massive, wide hearing range. We don't. So you could be hearing all kinds of things. And if you get a good program, so you take out your SD card of your recording device, put it in there, you might see a spike on the oscilloscope. You think, what was that?
Yeah.
And you might get it, as I say, if you can compress it to MP3, you might be able to hear what those things are. So I always say audio is the thing. But to come and to justify that a little bit more, if say for the sake, well, let me look at it in another way. Video, right?
Yeah.
Video's the second thing for me. Audio first, video second.
Yeah.
If you take the world's best high definition video camera, it is still not as good as human eyesight.
No.
Right? It's still not as good as human eyesight. And human eyesight is nowhere near as good as that of something like owls. Right?
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that they can see things that we can't. Right? So they are the things, sight and sound, use the senses. Don't rely on man-created technology that's designed for something else, I might add. I know that recording's man-created technology, but if you use recording and use video, it requires your senses to make a judgment call on it, as opposed to flashing LED lights saying, well, there's electromagnetic activity here, which you're going to get anywhere anyway. Yeah. So I think that's the thing for me. Audio and video are the big things.
Right. Well, we're going to find out a bit more what Neil Roy thinks, because what we're going to do is we're going to just do the paranormal events. We're going to find out more about Roy, and which will give you a bit more perspective of where he's coming from. So
some more news.
Some more news.
Observations.
So we'll see you after these words.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
On the 25th of October, grave encounters at Halloween at the Skirrid Inn. Clang v Hangle Cluconi. On the 26th of October, UK Shadow Seekers are doing a mystery ghost hunt. And I can't tell you any more. Contact them for details. Also on the 26th, Haunted Places Paranormal doing the Royal Gunpowder Mills, Boston Abbey. And on the 31st of October, Spooktacular Events at the Herefordshire Hall with Most Haunteds, Brian Shepherd. On the weekend of the 2nd of November, there's an MBS at the new Epic Centre Lincolnshire Showground, Grange Dillings. On the 30th of November, UK Shadow Seekers are off to Morecambe Winter Gardens, Morecambe. And on the 14th of December, UK Shadow Seekers are going to Sheffield Town Hall, Sheffield. And don't forget, the all-new Bluebell Hill Ghost Walks in Chatham are on until the 31st of December.
So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events, available now. Paranormaleventsforyou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. Paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Right, okay, we're here with Roy Basnett, entertainer, compere, presenter, because you're on, which radio show you on now?
I've just finished doing a rugby league show that I used to, because that's my other passion, you see. Rugby league, work for the Widnes Vikings, who had a particularly good season in the Super League, and I've just finished doing a rugby league show at the moment. So I'm kind of like, I think the term is picking up time at the moment,
So, and you've been an actor as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, while you've been talking, we've had some comments.
Okay.
Okay, that we'll go through.
Go through.
Okay, and basically, we've always said, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, although you have the right to reply, we will not tolerate any profanities or disrespectful behaviour. Please remember to be respectful to our listeners and guests. Okay, so, and it's their views, alright, you must remember that. Okay, right, Here we go. Are you ready for this, Roy? Right, let me just find it now. Hold on.
Yeah.
All
This
right.
is printed it for you.
Okay.
It says, we are nothing like computers. Brain's growth and DNA, they are not wiped and put into another head. That's Higgs boson only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, first of all, let me just answer that by saying I'm not saying that's what we are.
Yeah.
I'm saying it is a theory, and everything that I've said there is theory. I'm not telling people that that's what you should believe. I'm giving you theories. That's how it is. What I would say, if people turn around and say that's absolute rubbish what you're saying, Roy, which there's a good possibility it is.
Oh yeah.
But you can only say it's categorically rubbish if you can prove it.
Yes.
So that's it.
Well, this is it. Right, I'm just going to drop back a bit and see where we are.
Yeah.
You've got to stop watching Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
I love watching Ancient Aliens. It's great. There's some lovely barking mad people on that.
Oh, no, sir. What else have we got here?
He just thinks your analogy is a bit flawed.
Yeah, sometimes.
It may well be.
He
I'm a very
agrees with-
flawed character, especially when I've had a drink.
He agrees with good field recorders. Okay, This is Andy 707, and Haggis4 said we are looking for different frequencies by the equipment we use. So that's the way he looks at it.
But ideally, all I would say is that audio. I've got a piece of audio which I've played to you.
Yeah.
Because I've been on countless investigations, and for the most part, I think what happens on investigations, people record stuff and never bother listening back to it for the most part because you've got hours and hours of stuff.
I actually agree with that.
I'm certainly no different on that. But there was one particular situation. I was working on a radio station in Preston, and somebody got in touch with me to say that I have a problem in my house, that I'm being violently abused by a ghost.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. And I went to a house with a medium, as it turned out, and there was another medium up there as well. And this woman was not averse to feeling that way herself. I took 2 video cameras in. We went to the area where the abuse was meant to happen, which was in the bedroom, as it turned out.
Yeah.
Put the 2 video cameras in there, and the 4 of us conducted a seance. This was a 400-year-old house, converted, by the way.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no television on. There was no, because it was remote, there's no traffic noise outside.
Yeah.
We stayed there for an hour, nothing happened. I played the audio back, and you can hear the name Michael and Mark on it clearly. You've heard that audio.
Yeah.
It's clearly. It's there's no ambiguity about it. Now, the first procedure that I went on that was, right, did both the video cameras pick it up?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Could there have been residual audio? No, they were blank tapes, but both machines picked them up anyway, so there could have been residual audio on the tape. You can tell by listening to it that it is not the name when it comes in is not of the same sound ambience that's in the room.
Yeah.
It's somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that I've recorded lots and lots of stuff, and nothing major has ever come about, and that's the one time that happened. And when I was becoming a little bit disillusioned, thinking it's just nonsense. You're just sitting in the dark and calling out, nothing's going on. But those 2 things have always maintained my interest because that absolutely categorically happened. I know it happened. I was there at the time, so I know that nobody said it.
Yeah.
And because we would have all heard it. Somebody said, "Did you hear that?" You can hear it on the audio. Nobody says, "Did you hear anything?" Because nobody does.
And you're the sort of person when it comes to paranormal investigations, you're not, if there is a knock or something, you need to find out where it's come from. But for certain things to happen without any, any kind of explanation, that is what you're looking for, aren't you? Like
of
everybody, you know.
The one thing I would say that I'm always amused by paranormal groups is that they all say we want to go and find something, but if a headless horseman walked in, most people would walk out very quickly. And I can't be doing with people who say things like, I'm going to shut this down now because I'm not happy with what's going on here.
Oh, yes.
No, press on. If you've got a bite, you should take it.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to Ouija. I think Ouija boards and glass divination are just rubbish. I don't think people who let's get one thing straight. Let's get the Ouija board boxed off straight away.
Now we did the Ouija board on your show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and nothing happened.
It shook.
It shook, but apart from that,
in fact, I think I got more than you did.
But what do you think to the Ouija board?
Ouija board is a Victorian parlour game.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, really. There's no why people seem to think, the Ouija board, it brings through all these malevolent spirits and you'll have all kinds of problems. Listen, in the 1960s and 70s, they were selling it as a board game.
Yes.
So and the
And then they
only reason
restarted doing it.
It's still sold in Toys R Us.
really,
Yeah.
and it's still, and the reason that it got all the stigma,
And to make it even better, it's a luminous.
Yes.
is it? Even better. The reason it got all the stigma is
Yeah.
because it was used in The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And it's the same as like why everybody thinks that Santa Claus is a guy in red. No, the reason you have Santa Claus is because he was a promotion for Coca-Cola years and years ago. That's why we see Santa Claus in red. That's why it is. It's
But
nothing to do with.
Why do you feel
it's
we
that
get these stories from people?
Chinese whisper?
I used it when I was a kid and I didn't like what came out, or I used it when I was a teenager, and therefore I ain't touching it,
if somebody's had some kind of experience with it, then fine, but I don't think that people will have had anything profoundly life-changing as a result.
I'll be honest with you.
And if they do, perhaps if they did, fine. But I think a lot of people make these things up.
We normally use glass, yes, no.
Yeah.
And we said we'd never use a Ouija board.
Right.
We got a lot of people saying, why not? Why can't we use a Ouija board? Most other groups do it. So we bought what I call a Ouija banner, big thing, and with a planchette, right?
I'll stick it to you.
Yeah. And the times we've used it, which has not been very often, it's never moved.
No.
Nothing's happened. I'm still waiting to see it happen.
In bits of research that I've done on the subject of the Ouija board, it's one of those things that I think it's original form because it's German and French for yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're meant to kind of like, if you are in an indecisive frame of mind, you can think, right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll focus my energy on the Ouija board to see if this can give me some direction. So I think, well, I'm going to ask the Ouija board to point it out for me. So you could use it for a bit of personal development, if you like. But I don't believe that Ouija boards are some portal to the underworld where all beasts and monsters is nonsense.
Well, it's the same old adage, isn't it? When it comes to paranormal investigations or stuff like that, the only really thing that is good enough to be truthful is your senses.
Is yourself, is your senses. And this comes back to what I was saying about video and sound. They're the things that trigger your senses the most.
Can I kick in there? Andy says he has a recording taken in Edinburgh Vaults that gave him the same thought as you were saying. Yeah. Even when I doubt everything else, I remember that a moving shadow in an empty room.
My wife's had one of those.
Yeah. So a bit like an 8-ball thing, you can shake it to get the answers to the questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You can. Yeah. And I know it's like, by the same, and I've actually demonstrated a little bit of my hypocrisy there because I'm a professional hypocrite. Because I was saying, I was saying then, well, categorically, I think it's a load of rubbish, the Ouija board. And I do, but if you can go out and prove it different, then fine.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. If it works, it works. Any method at your disposal that can prove what you're trying to prove has got to be worthwhile doing. But the thing is, hearsay is not evidence. People turn around and say, I know it because this happened. Did you record it? No. If you haven't got no evidence, no proof. That's it. That's how it is.
Now I'm going to change the subject from paranormal investigations to ufology. Okay, you're into that as well, aren't you? Yeah. Right. Okay, we're going to touch on this. It relates to. I'm not going to elaborate, but it relates a bit to a question. Well, a remark that's been put on there actually.
Okay.
But let's just say I've come in and I'm talking about ufology and portals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm saying to you that I can channel an ET. Now, mediums, they channel a guide. Yeah. And like we said, it's normally a Native American.
Yeah.
Could be granny or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm telling you that my guide
is an alien.
Right. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I'm a believer that one day anything will be possible.
Yeah.
And when I say anything, I mean anything.
Yeah.
Because when people say, well, what about going back in time? It'll be possible one
day.
In fact, some of your top physicists will tell you that it's possible to do that now.
Yeah.
If you had the ability to do it, of course, and the technology. But if you look at let's go back to the 1970s when the first ever video game came out.
Yeah.
Remember the tennis game?
Yeah.
1970s. At the blink of an eye, in terms of how long ago it was. And look at where we are now with smartphones and all of the kind of things that we've got. So let's multiply that technological advance by 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Where's that going to put you then? We are living in prehistoric times compared to that.
Yeah.
So therefore, it would be able to do anything. Now, if, say, for the sake of arguments, you're saying that you're channeling the thoughts of an alien, right? Then perhaps maybe communication, right? Well, we don't need phones anymore because we've created a way of doing telepathic communication. That would be a possible thing. So if you've got extraterrestrials from another world that are coming here, and maybe they have decided to give this ability, this technology, if you like, to people to communicate, then that could potentially be an answer. Now, remember, these are my theories.
Yes.
I'm not basing this on fact.
Oh, no.
Because I try to look at it as logically as I possibly can, and that would make sense to me.
Yeah. One of our team members, bless him, he's been ill because he had a stroke.
Yeah.
He don't feel as though he's part of this world.
Right.
And he won't mind me saying it because he openly comes out with it.
Okay.
He really feels, now, he's a lovely guy. Technically, he should have died as a child. He's had cancer. He's and this, that, and the other. And, and technically, but he feels as though he's protected. And he really does feel that he's not part of our world. And he's been put down here for a reason. You know what I mean? He's just so, people believe in God, people believe in whatever. But he's such a believer in this. He really is. And, it's just weird that how much he actually believes, doesn't it?
I mean, it even asks the question that, how do we know we're talking to spirit?
Yeah.
How does he know we're not talking to aliens?
That they're not communicating with us.
I mean, my only answer to that is, as I perceive them as being spirit. They can be alien spirit for all I know, but to me they're spirit.
Yeah.
So I only receive the information one way.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who's giving it to me. That's what.
First of all, everybody talks to someone, right? Because if you have a conversation with yourself, you're talking to somebody, aren't you? And I think you have to take that into consideration. One of the best explanations that I ever came across was Anthony Peake. I don't know if you remember Anthony Peake. Wrote the book with Damon.
Yes.
And it's a very, very complicated scenario that he puts across there. But the basics of it is that you, as you reach the point of death, you go into a replay. So you keep replaying your life over and over again, but you kind of tidy things up along the way. And that you go through your first life alone. And then in the second time, you have this passenger.
Yeah.
Your inner voice that says, well, wouldn't do that. You should do that. Maybe do that. And that, again, so you're actually speaking to somebody there. Who are you speaking to? You could be just your northern hemisphere, all that kind of, your brain hemispheres, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know, but there's definitely communication with somebody inside. And to come back to the point about your friend there, I believe that from my point of view, that something nudges me in the right direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a very, very fortunate person in my life. And there have been too many things that have happened to me that have not been coincident.
Yeah. And you're not a medium or anything like that.
No. And you know what my take is.
Yeah. So.
But this is why what, if you like, keeps my faith in this subject.
Yeah.
Is that the possibility that there is something there, and I would love to think there will be an explanation. I've got, again, here's my theories. I think there's to come back to the point that was made earlier from Ryan when he was going on about when you go over to the other side, everybody's equal, all of that kind of stuff. Maybe not. What if? See, if you look at everything in nature has a way of balancing things out.
Yeah.
Right. Everything seems to be evened out, and I think the same is like that with humans. And I believe that it is something I quite believe in this. That you. Everything you take out of life, if it comes at a cost of somebody else, it has to be paid for. So when you die, right, it's almost like going to a checkout in a supermarket, and you think, right, you've had this. Let's look at all the good things you've got, and all the good things are well outweighed by the bad things you did.
Yeah.
So you're in deficit. You owe.
Yeah.
And that's where the payoff comes in, right? That's where if you like, the retribution of if you've been a bad person in life, then that's at the checkout of life, if you like.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where everything is balanced. Another way of looking at it as well, going back to technology, this is a bit total recall this. What if what you're doing now is happening in your lunchtime? Right, that you've gone in the future, you've gone to some wonderful place, live a life in your lunchtime, right? So you're plugged into some computer, and you are going to spend the entire life, because we're thinking of it now, thinking, all right, well, we've been years and years on the world, but time is a man-created thing, of course, isn't it? So we don't know. So you might, and when you think about it, I came here tonight, and I remember coming here, but I only remember. Can't physically say I did it.
No.
Like, whatever we're doing now will eventually become a memory.
Yes.
So it could be that. I know it's a bit kind of science
Talking
fiction.
about memories, I just want to touch on something my son mentioned.
About to say that.
Yeah. If I get it wrong, correct me.
Go on,
it was something he put on Facebook, funny enough. We was talking about deja vu.
Yeah.
Well, he was. And he said, what is deja vu? He feels, which sounds feasible, that you're not remembering, talking about the memory, you're not remembering the actual time it happened. You're remembering the times you remembered about the times it happened.
Right.
If you understand what I mean.
I think so.
Could that sound, feasible? Like, say, for instance, like you just said, you remember, say you came here, and then 10 years down the line, you remember, when we was with Suzanne and Steve, this happened. And then 10 years down the line, you remember it.
But you're remembering the memory.
You're remembering the memory.
No, I'm with you.
Do you get that?
I think there's a couple of things about that. I mean, first of all, I suppose your scientific explanation would be that because your brain's split into two hemispheres and one eye sees something a little bit before
right
the
and
other,
left,
and that might be a scientific explanation for it.
Yeah.
But there is again that perhaps maybe that you have lived before, and that you have this little glitch. And if you're saying I've been here before, right. Could go back to what I was mentioning about Anthony Peake's theory before, that you relive your life over and over again, and that it's always different in every time. But that might be that little throwback, that little glitch that is, saying, you have been here before, actually.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
Andy's just said that it's when the two sides of your brain come out of sync.
That would be, that would be the scientific explanation for it. And if it can be categorically proved that is the case, then you have to accept it.
Now, you're into all this, obviously. When would you? We find doing this sort of thing. We have different people on. We have conspiracy theories. Andy's been on a few times.
We learn so much.
We learn so much of other people's beliefs and theories.
I mean, there are times when I think you're a complete nutcase. But there's always an aspect of what they're saying.
You can extract something from it. Yeah, exactly. And if it triggers, if within yourself you think I can relate to that, then that's fine, because you can add that, because it will. It's not that you think, I like that idea. It fits in with something you've already had a bit of a thought of in the first place. So therefore, you can bring into it. I mean, the thing is, Andy that's into the conspiracies.
Yeah,
I mean,
Andy.
Listen, it's one of those. The conspiracy theorists, if you like, are treated with derision in the same way as mediums are, and people like that. And for the most part, I think, because everybody has a conspiracy about anything.
Yeah.
But what you need to know, there's three of us in this room here, right? Say, for the sake of arguments, I know something about Steve, and I tell you, and I don't tell Steve, and we keep that information from him. That's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So it is human nature to conspire.
Yeah.
One of the problems that I have with conspiracy theorists, let's take, for example, 9/11. I hate people who say, see them buildings, the way they came down there, they shouldn't come down like that. That's free fall speed. They came down. And I said, oh, right, really? Are you a structural engineer? No, the information you're given is usually from internet television programs. I mean, to come back to that point, I don't go into too much detail on it. There's something you're not being told about 9/11.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that there were holographic planes and that flew in and things like that.
Yeah.
But there are, as I say, history is littered with false flag operations that justified the actions that came after, which was the Homeland Security Act, the unnecessary wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and all of that kind of stuff, which is all about oil. Let's get it right.
Yeah.
And just little aside on this.
Yeah.
It probably is about oil. It's about big businesses making a lot of money in the Middle
Yeah.
East. And here's the thing: everyone said, if they said it's outrageous that it's about oil, that's wrong. If this country run out of oil tomorrow,
Yeah.
we've had it.
Yeah.
You're good for a week. It's over, because you're not just talking about oil running your cars. You're talking about it in your food. You're talking about it in every conceivable aspect
Yeah.
of your life. So people wouldn't really be overly concerned with what you're doing in the Middle East if it was down to that. So you've got to take that into consideration as well. So that is something, and it definitely, 9/11 definitely was used as a precursor to get into the Middle East. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
That's not saying that 9/11 didn't happen the way they said it happened, but they made it an excuse.
No, it is. I think perhaps maybe if you don't necessarily need to look at some big elaborate plot. If it could be that the intel that the likes of the CIA and the FBI were getting in advance of that was loads of it was coming in. The Germans were saying this was happening. You had the Pakistanis saying that this was happening, and they didn't take any notice of it, as if perhaps maybe let's let them do that.
Yeah.
Because that would be our Pearl Harbor. Then we can get back into it. So I would take that into consideration. I mean, there's lots of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that was not put in the 9/11 Commission that should have been in there. For example, why was George Bush? Why did George Bush not? They didn't interview him on his own. He had to be in the presence of Dick Cheney all of the time. Yeah. Right? There's some great stuff on YouTube as well. One of the best ones about 9/11 was George Bush himself, what he says. Now, there's only one video. There's only one. Is that my phone making noises? There's only one video of the first plane going into the World Trade Center. Now, that video was not shown until the night time. We all watched the second tower be attacked in real time. Yeah. But the first plane going into the tower, that video didn't come to light until the evening, because it was a group of guys called the Narday brothers that were making a film about the American Fire Department. They just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and they filmed it. So
you're not saying it's a hoax, though, are you?
No, it happened.
Right. I mean, Andy's making a point here. Which is very similar to what you just said. Yeah. The US government made great use and almost certainly turned a blind eye, but they didn't realise just how bad it was going to be.
Oh, yeah. Here's what's going on. And what you've got to remember is, though, the interesting thing about this is George Bush was at a school, not at the school at the time when he was told. Yeah. Later on, he was asked about 9/11. And he said, right, I'll never forget it. I was walking into the school, and there was a television on, and I saw the first plane crash in to the World Trade Center. Yeah. Being a pilot myself, I thought, that's terrible bad pilot error.
That's what he said.
That's what George Bush said. Yeah. Now, he's saying that he was just about to go in. 9/11's just happened. He's just watching on the television. He's seen it. Now, we know that video wasn't broadcast until the evening. He's saying he's seen that happen before. You remember when he was in the school and he's got the book upside down? He's saying he saw it on the way in. Mm. So that does make you think that perhaps maybe they knew the plan was coming. Yeah. They knew what it was. And the interesting thing as well on this is who do we all think is responsible for 9/11? Who was the mastermind of 9/11?
Well, they reckon it was Al-Qaeda.
They would say Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, bin Laden.
Go to if you went to the FBI website before he died, and that's another story as well, I might add. If you go to the FBI, he's not wanted in connection with the 9/11 attacks. Not wanted in connection with them. He's not the mastermind of it, right? Here's the interesting thing as well. Again, one of the good videos about Osama bin Laden is the one before Benazir Bhutto was killed. Yeah, right? She was murdered, and David Frost was interviewing her, and Benazir Bhutto tells people about the man who killed Osama bin Laden. This is months before the Americans supposedly got him. You know, which I always find it quite amusing, really, is that the Americans said, we are going to get Osama bin Laden. They tell you what, we're going to put billions and billions, and we're going to get him. We'll find him. They did find him in his house. Yeah. You know, why didn't you go there in the first place? You know, the amazing thing is, what always gets me about the Al-Qaeda videos, is Osama bin Laden, a billionaire, right, who can't afford to buy a good video camera. No. Because they're always bloody awful recordings, which makes you think, you don't need to see what he really looks like, do you? You know, and plus the other thing is as well here, what you've got to remember, bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. These people are on the American pay list for a long, long time.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not getting the full picture of what's going on over there.
Yeah.
I think what's going on in Syria at the moment, my opinion,
Yeah.
I think that is another false flag operation, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, we never really see much side of what the Assad have got to say about it. The Assad, they always talk about the insurgents, and a lot of people confuse the fact.
Yeah.
They say that, there's a civil war going on in Syria. There isn't really.
No.
What it is, you have two factions of the same religion that don't agree with the ascent, with what come after the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
So they're the warring factions that you've got over there. So it's a little bit more complicated. It's not like a civil war where it's like you've got like a terrible dictator and you want to overthrow him or something. But it's one of those things that you will find that this fits in with the pipeline theory and all that.
Yeah.
Are we going to? Do we need to extend the pipeline over there so we can get even more oil out of the Middle East? So you got to take that into consideration. So that's another thing. And my other, so the 9/11 thing, as I say, we could talk out more about that. But the two big things, of course, is 9/11 and JFK.
Yeah.
Now the JFK one, we can. Everybody has a theory on that. But the best video to go and see on YouTube that to me tells you everything about that is just type in JFK stand down, right?
Right.
Go to YouTube, type it in, JFK stand down. Now what happens in this video, this is President Kennedy arriving he's at Dallas Airport, and he gets off. He gets into his car, right? And his security detachments, two of them are running by the side of the car, right? As is their job. There's just foot plates that they can jump on when the car has to speed up. But they're running along, right? You see in this video, a guy stands up in the car behind and pulls the men back from the side of the car. One of the guys immediately comes back. Another one is perplexed. He's waving his hand saying, hang on a sec, that's not what I've been told to do. I stay with the president.
Yeah.
And he's waving his hands. And he eventually throws his hands down. He shakes his hand. He gets in the car. You can see it.
Yeah.
He's being told, get away from the car. So we know that if you look at that they probably know what's going on.
Yeah.
Somebody within that security detachment knows what's going on. He gets shot. A man that was going to withdraw troops from Vietnam. Vietnam was not going to happen.
No.
Now listen, as far as I'm concerned, the Americans didn't want to go into Vietnam because they didn't like those nasty communists. But they did have massive contractual obligations to the likes of, all of the military complex, people who were making planes. All of that stuff just would have went to the wall.
Yeah.
Billions and billions of pounds, dollars wiped out. So what happens? I think within 3 days of Lyndon Johnson becoming the president of America, we're going in.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder.
I actually think it's a lot simpler than that. Because JFK actually had new money printed, and he was taking the central bank out of it.
I've heard this as
so
well.
I think a lot of it is down to money and power. If he'd have gone ahead and changed the currency, not only would the central bank have gone, but he was also planning to stand down a large part of the CIA.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So, to my mind, there's no way that these very powerful people were going to stand for that.
No.
So something had to be done. A couple of things that are on here from
sure.
when you're doing the thing. Andy said maybe he assumed it was the first planet. It was actually the second one he was seeing.
It could have
Maybe.
been no because
Is that a possibility?
it is because the timeline's out on that because the president was told he's saying before he went into the classroom he was told that he said I saw the plane crash in. Now if you remember when the second tower gets hit, the guy goes in and says, Mr. President, we're under attack. So the timeline is out there.
Wrong.
So
Okay.
if you have a look at it, make your own opinion of it. Have a look at it.
Andy gave us an opinion on. He gave us a talk on JFK, didn't he?
On the shooting,
Yeah, you can listen to it on the extra.
I'll do that.
He actually had when we did it on the show. He actually had
Videos. Yeah.
pictures up.
Really?
We put the links on the YouTube.
Actually seeing men that, according to reports, just weren't there.
Yeah.
On
The grassy knoll.
the grassy
There's actually
knoll.
pictures of them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a genius to work
No,
it
it
out that if
doesn't.
you get shot from behind, your
Yeah.
head's going to go forward,
this is
isn't it?
it.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
that to me, I'm not a
So,
forensic, I'm not a
no.
ballistics expert, but it just seems to me
Well,
that that's
before we go back to finishing off the paranormal observations, what got you into all this? Why did you do this? What was you doing before you did Zone Unknown?
right. Well,
Was you an anchorman? Was you a news reporter?
I was in radio.
Yeah.
And I was just basically doing music radio.
Yeah.
And then eventually I became the talk show host for Magic 999.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time I'd done it because I found doing talk radio significantly easier than doing music radio.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. And some nights when you're a little bit tired and you think, God, you could do somebody else in here. And then I'd heard other radio stations who had psychics in because you thought, well, your presenter doesn't do an awful lot when the psychic's in taking calls.
Yeah.
And I had a lady that came in called Mary White, who is, you know, from a mediumistic point of view, I do respect Mary because she, I'll come back to that in a second about specifics.
Mm-hmm.
And she got me into it basically. And then I encountered a couple of paranormal investigators who went on the on the investment and loved it. And in addition to that, my wife Jane, there's always been a huge, had a huge interest in doing that kind of stuff. So she kind of motivated me to go along and what have you. So coming back to Mary, I'll never forget it. Jane went to see Mary, a psychic medium, who said, your sister's not well. She has a trapped nerve on her lip. Now that's a specific to me.
Yeah.
That's a specific. That was one of the things she said.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what got me into that. And I think with conspiracies, I've always been. My brother was. I was a bit of a failure at school. I was an absolute disaster. I think I might have had undiagnosed ADHD or something like that. But my brother was phenomenally clever. He did really well. He went to grammar school and he was star pupil and what have you. And whereas I didn't like school the way I was educated, I always liked listening to what my brother knew about things.
Yeah.
And knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything for me. And I love watching history programs. I love anything. Doesn't matter. I like to learn something. I don't particularly like.
You're an absorber.
I'm an absorber. I couldn't read a novel.
No.
I can watch a film, but I can't read a novel.
Yeah.
I can only read a factual book. And that's what gets me into it. And and if you want conspiracies, right? Not conspiracy theories, conspiracies. You are in the country that gave you them, right? This country has got so much dirty history that, and you think that's when it becomes not surprising that these things are still going on, and they are still going on. And things are happening now that we are not privy to in information. I think there's a lot of stuff about Margaret Thatcher that we're not going to find out for quite some time, right? And probably Tony Blair as well, I might add.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of stuff that we're not going to be told about. And it's easy to believe that all is not what it seems. But again, is the hypocrisy and the contradiction of me is that perhaps maybe it's like what's his name, Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. I don't think most people can.
No.
I think what's it going to do to you if you're told that we've been communicating with extraterrestrials for so long and we've done this and we've done that. It would cock up your very existence. I mean, next I'll come in and speak next time. It's like we're going about religion. I could tell you a lot of stuff because conspiracy and religion go hand in hand. And it is those things, but knowledge is. I'd implore people to get as much knowledge as they possibly can.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. If you can learn something every day and it benefits you, it's worth doing.
Yeah. Well, I always say my head's full of useless information.
Yeah, well, this is it.
But it ties up with other things. As you store it and you think, what was the point in learning that? And then somewhere down the line, you learn something else, and it connects with what you'd already learned.
Well, we all enjoyed Zone Unknown. We enjoyed being on the show. Yeah. We thank you for that. And as I said before to the listeners, our show is based on I assume it's your idea that you had. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly a concept. I mean, I think you'd find it difficult to copyright an idea where people talk about the paranormal and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've heard people.
Yeah, your format is like ours is loosely based on it, And because we enjoyed doing your show, we enjoyed listening to your show. And I just tried, as I said to you, we just tried to bring bring it in with the KTPF, keeping the paranormal friendly, and I've been a stalwart for that for years now. And I'm still trying to struggle with it, but but I'm still carrying on. You need to, don't you, with this sort of thing?
I think this is good. I mean, I really enjoyed it tonight, and I said to you, because when there was stuff coming through there wasn't people not agreeing with me. That's fine. You've got to entertain. If people, I don't mind people who don't agree with me. I'm not asking people to believe what I believe. I'm just giving my theories. If people can come back with a constructive arguments and they're not, if you just go F this and F that, then you just ignore people like that. But if people, there's learned people, there's knowledgeable people there.
Precisely. They could have run up and they've got the number. They could have run up and asked the questions. We know that. We normally ask them for that.
Yeah, but you haven't got the number up to that.
They should know it by now.
They should. Yes, they should know it by now. They really should.
You know what I mean? If they wanted to ring up, they could have done. But I'm sat listening. Really enjoying it. That's your missus.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, glad about that.
So, and hopefully he'll be back on again.
And then Jamie will become a cheeky git.
Why?
He said, "Educate yourself, Steve. Liverpool FC, not Chelsea. Listen to Roy."
I don't know. So let's just finish these paranormal news off.
I mean, there's considering what kind of geography Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, are actually found in, or reported to be found in, put it that way.
Yeah.
I know it's been said out there, and it is a wonder to me. Are we talking about something not of this earth, because they are, a lot of the time, they are reported to be seen around UFO activity? Or are they just a split? A branch of the human
cryptozoology.
The one in a different direction.
Cryptozoology is when we talk about these Sasquatches and stuff like that. I find it difficult to believe.
Man running around in the suit.
I think there might be an element of that. Except, of course, if there was a really disturbing video that I saw a while back about a guy, and it's a good few years back, about a guy that transplanted an ape's brain. Right, and the ape lived for two or 3 days. It was aware of what was going on, and it could move its eyes around and stuff like that. And then you look at that, then you look at what Joseph Mengele did in the concentration camps years ago. This kind of genetic engineering and all this kind of stuff. Are you telling me that's not going on now? Because it is. I think it'd be a fool to think that somewhere in Latin America or something like that, somewhere that's well beyond the control of the authorities, that people. Places like Brazil and that, where life's cheap, think nothing is snatching kids off the street and experimenting with that. I do genuinely believe that goes on, in the view that they are trying to create, probably because the military is always the one that drives technology forward. Whatever your technology is that you have now will have some origin within the military. So if you can create super soldiers, if you like, that are programmed, and then that would be a tremendous military asset. And I think that kind of stuff goes on. So coming back to what you're saying about the Bigfoots, what if that is a process of a mutation of genetic engineering that's gone wrong? That's the kind of aberration that's come about as a result of it. So I think there is a possibility of that. And I think, there's there definitely would be. There is, and I would say probably with the knowledge of the Americans as well, there will be somewhere a facility that is doing.
You're coming back to your conspiracy theories again.
But again, the two things go hand in hand, don't they?
There is. I mean, wherever you look, there's always someone that's gonna say something, that somebody's doing something. I've always said, if I go online now and I post up that I saw a pink monkey running across my garden, I can guarantee within 2 weeks it's fact somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Chinese whisper as well, isn't it?
And these things are so easy, and by the end of it, you've got somebody saying that the government,
and they add the people will add their little bit to it as well, of course.
And then we end up saying what you just said, that the government are genetically engineering apes, and this is just one stage of it, which then becomes one big conspiracy. And all it started with was, I saw pink monkey.
Yeah,
When it
that's how it is.
It's like
Yeah.
John's just said, Ghost Rider. He said, I'm the Wolfman of Norwich, so if you hear about me, it's me.
Yeah.
You got another one there, haven't you?
I have.
We're talking about Keisha now.
To me,
Quiche. Oh, I could just murder a bit of quiche now.
Keisha!
Keisha. Now, to me, this is just
Stupid. Yeah,
ridiculous.
we've heard similar things to these
Right.
before.
I mean, we did.
I'm all ears.
We did put one on that I think was in China and he actually got done for rape because he was saying he told this woman that he could get rid of the ghost that haunted her vagina.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which, to be honest, is
Yeah.
complete.
But this is a new one.
But this is Keisha, and she's a singer-songwriter and rapper.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
She once said that she had sex with a ghost.
Right.
In an interview with Jimmy Kimmel Monday night, she said that her vagina is haunted.
Right.
And I know quite a few people that would like to sort that one out because because apparently she's a very nice looking lady.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But she appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live on Monday night to talk about a new season of her television show. The season premiere is on MTV.
No, that's quite coincidental.
Yeah,
really.
Yes,
it's very.
yes.
My Crazy Beautiful Life begins with Keisha getting an exorcism on her vagina.
Right, really.
That's where the program
It sounds
starts.
a bit far-fetched, doesn't it?
Evidently,
I'd like to look into that.
I bet you would.
Evidently, Keisha's hypnotherapist claimed that her warrior singer's vagina is haunted.
Right.
Andy,
do you really want me to give my opinion on that?
Oh, dear.
I have a feeling it might not be that clean either. So no.
Yeah, no.
Well, Jamie said that comes under porno. What was it?
Pornology.
Pornonormal or something.
Pornonormal, yeah.
But you hear these things.
But I mean,
so,
we're talking about a program that's going to be
Yeah.
on TV.
yeah.
And her vagina being exercised.
I think that tells you more about the state of play
Yeah.
with programs that go on television.
She even had an interview with Ryan Seacrest last year.
Yeah, last year, and well, that's when she revealed that she'd had multiple sexual experiences with ghosts.
Do you know the thing is though, and there will be, with the greatest respect, I know you do have people in America listening. America does have some of the most gullible people in the world, and it's creeping into this country. And you'll notice now if you go to the top end of the Sky channels, you'll find a lot of these kind of religious programs.
Yeah.
And there was one that I watched last week about a guy that has been given a miracle water.
Yeah.
Right, a recipe or something, whatever it is,
Uh-huh.
and this water solves all your problems.
Right.
And these people are getting this water.
Yeah.
They're buying this water. Come on.
Well, this is
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Straight out the
how
tap.
can people,
Yeah.
if you talk about mind control, and that, again, going back to conspiracies, that the Americans with the MK Ultra plan wanted to control people's minds, forget it.
He can't help himself.
All your
can he?
religion will always control, but people to believe that someone's coming up saying, I'm driving this car, I've got my hand in your head, I'm driving the cancer out of it. And then what always amazes me about these people, that the other one I'm saying, I couldn't believe this, was a guy saying, you need to give us $300 now to sustain the ministry.
Yeah.
And the ministry, it was with Benny Hinn.
Benny Hinn,
by the way.
yeah.
Benny Hill, if you ask me. And but this guy is living in the lap of luxury. Surely, if you are a devoutly religious person, you'll know that Christ chased the money lenders out of the temple because it's not what it's about.
Well,
so where does it say in the Bible, thou shalt make a potful of the gullible? It doesn't. But people do believe it.
Yeah, I mean, she's those people that actually know Keisha, her song "Supernatural" was actually based on the affair that she had. She said, "I don't
Can't wait
know."
to see the video.
She says, "I don't know his name. He was a ghost. I'm very open to it."
Clearly,
to me, I think that says more about her state of mind than
and our show's going to be aired on October the 30th.
I think
yes,
on MTV.
The show is going to be aired, and I think that tells you everything. I think it's it's amazing that you always seem to get these people whenever they bring a book out. They normally announce a bit of scandal before it in order to make sure that the book sells.
Yeah.
Now, do you want me to play this before you say it or after you say it?
No, I will read this first
and then play.
it.
Right, I've got a video for you to see.
Make up their own mind.
Okay.
If you bring it up on there, then we'll be able to see
Yeah, I'll bring it up on that one.
Okay.
Good.
So
UFOs hover over a smoking ship and then vanish.
Right.
A number of unusual glowing lights recently appeared in the sky near a smoking ship. reportedly somewhere off the California coast.
Mm-hmm.
They moved in that dazzling way that gets UFO enthusiasts excited, lighting up the sky.
All right. Okay.
Then one by one, the lights disappear in a different direction away from the ship. According to the YouTube poster of the video, Look Now TV, these unidentified objects were recorded in California from the viewpoint of the beach.
Mm.
You can see the few UFOs flying over or behind this ship, which appears to have a large amount of smoke coming from it.
Mm.
The lack of details from the videographer and the YouTube poster raises a few red flags.
That's it's always the lack of detail,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So the HuffPost showed the video to one of their resident UFO image and video analysts, Mark D'Antonio, owner of FX Models, a company that creates miniature special effects,
Right. Yeah.
prototypes for government and military projects.
Mm.
Remarkably, this does look like something I've seen. The guy said, it looks like these are jets with afterburners on heading away from the camera.
Yeah.
Maybe the F-35 currently undergoing successful tests. But if Sue puts the video on, you can see
Right,
for
you can
yourself.
all look
Alright.
for yourself, so bear with me.
And
There
then
we go.
And
let
we'll be
us know
back
what
in
you
a
think.
minute to discuss it. So, here we go. Not there. Is it there? That one. 2 seconds.
It's fine.
It is playing. Am I going to get an advert? Oh, there we go. Or am I going to get an advert first? I might have to read it. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So,
We got-
there's
we got-
no
there's
advert.
no audio.
No, not on there. There's no audio, is
right.
there?
No, only all you can hear is the wind.
Right, okay. They can't hear us at the moment. It looks like flares going up, doesn't it?
Mm,
More than anything.
yeah,
That's what I would say.
I would say
But
that
then
too.
again, this one hovering, that's what I... Is that what you mean, Steve?
Yes,
Just noticed it.
them lights above the ship. There's only one there now. That's it.
Right.
Okay. Otherwise it'll end up going back to
Yeah, play again.
autopilot.
Mhm.
Hold on. Right, okay, we're back.
Right, Andy.
What's the video of?
That was the video that people are assuming was UFOs hovering over a smoking ship.
Mm.
What's your thoughts, guys?
Before you say your thoughts, Jamie thought it was more interested to find the Keisha interview about the sex with a ghost.
Yeah. I think you'll probably find that Jamie might be offering to do a paranormal investigation on that particular. Yeah.
Ghost Rider said exactly the same as us, flares.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
looks
there
like
was
flares
one
to me.
that was hanging about though.
Because I mean, it's very difficult because I mean, you can see that it's not broad daylight. You know, it looks, and you know, they would put flares up because I mean, it would still enhance.
Yeah.
I would say flares. I'd say almost certainly
Yeah,
flares. I'd
Andy
say
says he's in agreement with the rest of us. It looks like flares.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And
okay.
and Ghost Rider said we're keeping the porno friendly, Jamie.
Yeah. Okay, we've got any more? Is there one more left?
Yes.
Is this how many more
I
got
think
left?
this is my last one.
Okay, good.
I think after this they go red, which is for next week.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. We're going back to Sasquatch
Okay.
on this one.
Right.
A naked man claiming that he came from a long line of Sasquatches attacked a hunter in Royal Washington County, Oregon on Thursday.
Okay.
Jeff McDonald is not an avid hunter, according to his daughter. And after what he experienced on Thursday, it is unlikely that he would go out in the forest again anytime soon. The 58-year-old McDonald was in the woods behind his house when a naked 20-year-old son of his neighbour attacked him with a rock, making Sasquatch references.
Right.
McDonald reportedly spotted the naked man near his all-terrain vehicle on Thursday morning. Sergeant Bob Ray, a sheriff of the office spokesman, told the Oregonian the naked man attacked, hitting the hunter repeatedly in the head with an apple-sized rock. According to local news outlet KATU, causing broken fingers and dislocated shoulder and an eye injury. Once again, what is it with these bloody idiots in America? I mean, all due respect to the people in America, there are some really nice people over there, but from what we see on television and here, there's too many bloody
Yeah,
idiots.
this
I
is
think,
it.
perhaps, as I say, I mean,
Yeah.
some people, it's their 5 minutes, 10 minutes of fame, or 15 minutes of fame, whatever it is, So
Well, I'm all right. I've already had my 10 minutes of fame.
have you?
Yep.
Andy, the one who always tells us to go on and on and on, he's now gone on. Or rather, gone to bed by the looks of it. For school tomorrow. Oh, yes, we have.
Yeah.
So, what's next for Roy Basnett?
Well, there's at this moment in time, and I'm doing a lot of stuff. As I say, I'm miles away from the paranormal, which is the subject of rugby league. So I'm doing some stuff with the Vikings. In addition to that, got a couple of projects that I'm working on at the moment, but. Rather than say what they are, I'll hang on because I don't want to tempt fate or anything.
No.
Hopefully something good will come about from that. And, who knows? The one thing I've always found is that what makes life a little bit more exciting is not knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Will you come back to this sort of show?
Of course I would come back. I enjoyed it.
No, not just our show, obviously. That was the next question. But would you do this sort of show again?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as I say, it was some tremendous time doing it. Doing
it was
film
great.
It was good, and the facility was fantastic. Obviously, working in the tower in Liverpool, and even when I've done stuff before, it's great. And I think there's a market for it. And let's get one thing straight here as well, and it comes back to what Ryan mentioned earlier: the entertainment in it, because you could have there are radio stations now where somebody might be broadcasting, I don't know, talking about gardening or something, which is not for everybody.
No.
But I think with this particular subject, whether you believe it or not, you can. It's compelling, because I mean, someone might say, "Hey, I'm with you on that one, Roy. I'm on the same page," and then someone will be barking at the video screen there at the computer saying, "This man's talking out of his posterior."
Yeah.
Either way, it's providing listening, and it's entertaining, and that's. What I think perhaps maybe I'm amazed by the fact that we don't really get so much of this stuff on television, and when we do, it tends to be very kind of diluted. And, there's not much. I see a bit more theorizing, a little bit more kind of like pulling the ideas apart, to see whether or not there's any bones in there.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good. I'd love to see a television program like this.
Well, this is it.
I mean, on a slightly off note, I mean, just what we're doing now, it's there for everybody to actually get up and have their say and advertise it, and obviously maybe get some listeners to their point of view. So it's available to everybody now.
Yeah. As you mentioned, something else I'm doing as well in Liverpool on Halloween. We've got the Horror Fest, and I'm actually doing a Victorian seance that night. And before people think, oh, hang on a sec, Roy fancies himself as a bit of a medium. No, I mean it's if you like, to me, I would describe it as being a period drama in that I'm going to do what they did.
What day is this on?
This is
Halloween?
actually on Halloween, just off Matthew Street, Rubber Soul, just off Matthew Street, which used to be it's a fascinating building, I might add, because there's so many rooms, a huge building, and the confessional boxes are still there. From the workers in Liverpool that used to go in there, and it's a very, very ambient kind of place. But as we know, I'm not a medium, but using the knowledge that I've gained from how seances were conducted years ago, I shall attempt to do it in my period costume, I might add. And
have you got the cheesecloth?
Cheesecloth?
Yeah.
What cheesecloth?
For the old ectoplasm job.
Maybe I might. Listen, because of the nature of what it is, this is no paranormal investigation, and that if people jump, it's mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. We ain't got to fake anything or anything like that. But the ambience of being in a darkened room with somebody going, is there anybody there? Can sometimes be just enough, because we don't expect experts who want to learn about it to come down. We want thrill seekers. That's all. And that's what the Horror Fest is all about. And it's not just that night as well, because on the same night that I'm on Halloween, we've got there's a tremendous zombie film that was made a while back about a zombie trapped in a toilet.
Oh God!
Believe me, it's called Stalled. You might want to look that one up. And it is the cast and crew are going to be there, and there's going to be a screening of that. Hellraiser is going to be shown. There's all kinds of. There's even a horror quiz Elan Sheedy, who presents Horror Talk. I recommend you go online and watch Horror Talk. It's great stuff that he does on there. He's going to be there doing his quiz. And obviously Lisa Southern, who's one of the organisers, they put so much effort into it, and the momentum is tremendous. That this year it's going to be good. Next year already, it's going to be something exceptional.
So there's no Paranormal Week this year?
Apparently not.
No, Paranormal Week at Houghton Library is apparently they don't have the facilities to handle it, so it's not there.
Or maybe we could do something independent.
I've not actually heard whether there's going to be a replacement venue as yet.
So, but,
well, anything's possible.
But it's all good, you know what I mean? And it's, you know, we like being a part of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And
so,
press on.
And all the time people are talking about it, we're moving forward.
Yeah, this is
tremendous.
it. Well, let me just tell everyone what's on next week.
Coming soon.
Next week we have a young man via Skype called Dr. Kieran O'Keefe.
Oh,
Keith. We should be also having Tony Topping on, but with his commitments, I'm not sure whether he's coming or not, whether he'll be on. But we definitely have Dr. Kieran O'Keefe next week.
Tony's great, by the way. Tony,
we've had Tony on many times.
Great Tony.
And basically, you can ask your questions to him. Pitch your questions to him. We've also gonna find out what is going on about this Ghostlands.
Ghostlands?
Yes. Have you not seen this?
No. I'm out of the loop.
If he's put it on his Facebook, it's something that's happening. That, I don't know whether it's coming on TV or something, but I think Mary Queen of Scots, is it Leslie, whatever her name is? What's her name? Leslie something.
Yeah,
I can't think of her name.
The historian. What's
the
name?
Leslie Smith.
Leslie Smith, yeah.
Yeah, Leslie Joseph.
Yeah.
And
Historian.
Historian, that was. So, but as I say, I can't see if I can find him here at the moment.
Yeah.
But,
while Sue's having a look, see if she can find that. Just a little reminder to everybody out there. Me and Sue are doing a sponsor lone vigil at Drakelow Tunnels with the Anguish Man.
Yes.
The Anguish Man.
The painting. Do you know
Have you not heard about this painting?
No.
Rumour has it, and I say rumour because they haven't actually proved it as yet, that the artist mixed blood with the paint when he painted it, and afterwards he committed suicide.
Right.
And there is a lot of paranormal activity connected.
Where are the Drakelow Tunnels?
Where Drakelow Tunnels are down there near Kidderminster.
Oh, I see.
Birmingham way. It was the Shadow Factory was in there for during the
Rover.
For Rover during when they were making the engines and that for the planes and that.
But this is Ghostland. It's been seen on Facebook. Apparently, it's in 10 days, 35 minutes. It's a countdown. It's investigative, scientific, skepticism. I'm not sure what's going on, but we're going to find out about that next week, hopefully. But that's all there is.
If you've got the sound on, you hear a scream and Kieran comes up and says, enough already. Yes, enough already.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on.
Can you tell everybody where they can make the donations?
Right, if you go to justliving.com.
Just living or just giving?
Just living.
Just giving.
Just giving.
Just giving. Where is it? Let me see. I'll put the link on.
Yeah. If you're gonna make a donation that way, please do. We don't want the money, and if you do it through just giving it goes directly to the charity.
There it is now. So, come on. Yep. justgiving.com/Susan-Taggart1. And it's for BLESMA, which is British Limbless Ex-Servicemen's Association. And it's a registered charity. And we've got to sit with this this picture, which, as I say, is quite well known. Everybody knows it. We had it in here.
Actually,
you know what I mean?
Right, okay.
It's one of those pictures you look at and you go, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit. Looks a bit like the Scream.
But you can't stop looking at it.
Yeah. So, see if I
can you bring it up on there for?
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's not very big.
Blimey.
That's the Anguish
I look
Man,
like that on a Saturday morning.
and You look like
Yeah,
Saturday
the English
morning.
man.
But as I say, there's so much stories around it, and the man who's got it, it's been handed down to him. So if they want to,
Right.
if they want to do that,
Yeah,
so
and the man who owned it has actually been offered £30,000 for it. He's turned it
Really?
down. He's turned it down.
You want to whip that down to cash converters when you finish with it, then.
well, this is it.
Telling me say 25.
So, I'll put the link on there so you can donate if you wish. Okay.
But like I said, don't give us the money.
No.
Go direct to them.
Send it
Go
direct
direct to
to the
them.
charity.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're listening to this and you don't want to do it online, you can send it to us, but we'd rather you didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it just means that then we have to put it in our bank and then send it to them.
Right.
So, well, thanks, Roy.
Oh,
I hope
anytime.
you will come back.
Yes, no, I indeed
And
I will.
please remember that we're here every Sunday.
Okay.
And if you decide you're at a loss and you want to
Yeah.
come over,
Yeah, just tune
just
in.
give us a drink. Give
Get
us a
out,
drink.
yeah,
Give us a
Give
ring.
me a drink as well, yeah. Yeah.
Give us a
The
ring. And as
Yeah.
I say, you know
No,
where
we
we are.
Maybe next time Andy would come on, because we're interested to hear some of the stuff that Andy's got to say.
Yeah.
You know,
So, you
yeah.
know, it could come on Skype and you know, especially with conspiracy theories and stuff
Absolutely.
like that. You know,
You do realise if you do that meme, you sit back and let these two
let
chat.
them go for it.
Good
Yeah.
with that.
But don't forget,
This is where it's at.
yeah, every Sunday at 8:30, and it's time for us to go. As always with this program, you don't know whether it's going to be 2 hours, hour and a half, or 3 hours, and it's just coming up to 3 hours.
Yeah.
God,
Oh, good.
what do you reckon? But that's what it's
Well,
like.
that's the good thing about not having a schedule.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You haven't got to stop
Yeah,
and
no,
start.
No.
If you're in a conversation that
We're going to get Coronation
going
Street
well.
might last 2 hours this week. I don't think it'll work out that
Oh
well.
God.
I do hope not.
So they've all said fantastic show, top class. Well, we've had a top class person on anyway.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
So, you know, and it's been really great. It's been nice seeing you. It's
Yeah.
nice seeing Jane on,
Mm.
and hopefully we'll see Jane again. Last
Yeah.
time we saw you both was at Mark's wedding.
It was, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so hopefully we can get together
We
and
can
go for that
sort-
drink that we keep going
Absolutely,
about.
yeah.
Well,
You know, go for a meal.
we are liable to see Johnny if we don't see Roy because we'll be visiting.
We're supposed to be going to Mill Street, aren't we?
We'll be visiting
Oh, yeah.
Jamie
Mill
from
Street,
time
yeah.
to time.
So,
Yeah, taking the camera with us and do a few
you
Yeah.
know, so
interviews. So we can stick up.
thanks to John, thanks to everybody that's on. I don't know how many people's actually on, but in the chat room we've got John in Norwich, Jamie Q, Ghost Quest, Jane's there somewhere. Andy's popped off because he's gone to bed because he's in school now. He's a teacher,
Okay.
you know. So
It's got an early start.
So yeah. So if you are listening, we'll see you at Mill Street, Suzanne and Steve. You'll have to remind me what the date is, and I'll put it in the
Stick it in the diary.
diary.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't get moaned at now for doing somebody else's invest, will I, Jamie? Really good night. 3 hours went fast, Jane said. Do you
Oh,
think
wow.
it went fast?
I did. I thought it
It
did,
does
yeah.
know,
sometimes.
16th of November.
Mm.
Okay.
When you start talking and you get into the subject, it just flies. It's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
gone.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it can go anywhere, as has been proved
Yeah.
tonight. It's one of those subjects that has
Yeah.
so many tangents that it can go off in.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, providing you get back to where you're meant to be eventually, it's worthwhile going down those alternative routes.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank you for giving us the
whole idea.
whole idea
In
to
the first
carry
place,
on.
Pleasure. No, and
You
keep
know what I
it
mean?
going. Yeah.
What, our actual, I'll be honest with you, and as I told Mark, our actual idea was to try and keep it going for when you came back.
Well, maybe one day.
You know what I mean? So maybe, hopefully, you will come
Yeah.
back.
Well, maybe this
and,
might become the bench standard by then, though, you see, so maybe there'll be no place for them.
Oh, no. There'll always be a place for you, Roy.
There's always a place for somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Even if you end up,
But yeah, as soon as
coming
I
here
find
at-
him, I'll bring him down.
even if you end up coming here every Sunday and
Yeah.
being a co-compare.
I will do. No,
don't
Sundays are good for me.
You know what I mean? So, you know, but thanks again. And thanks to everyone for listening. Until next time,
Good night.
keep the paranormal friendly.
friendly.
Good night and God bless.
Night, guys.
Good night, Roy.
Good night.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.